Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Let's wait for some people to trickle in. Let's give you guys the opportunity to like the video. It is Friday, so we'd like to get this to a bunch of people on Friday because the weekend can be a little uncertain. We can see that the inauguration's coming up. We have a shortened trading week next week. So there's a lot of important things happening today. So I want to make sure there's at least a good chunk of people in here before I start to go over a few things. So hopefully you guys have your coffee ready. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Secure Opening. How you doing, YS? Good morning, Nicole. Nicole, not just Nicole. Nicole. Last name also Nicole. Middle name Nicole, first name Nicole, last name Nicole. Nicole. Martial Law, good morning. Let's rock and roll. Yeah, we're seeing that upside move. Morning, enjoying your show from Canada. Hey, that's fantastic. Where at in Canada? That's what I'm wondering. I only had one Canadian soccer teammate. And he was like the nicest guy on the team. It was insane. Let's like this channel. I think that's a good idea, right, YS? I think that'd be good. Good morning from Canada. Also, all day live. Hey, you guys should be friends. You guys should be friends. Oh, Ottawa. Okay, cool. I actually think he might have been from Ottawa. I start making money with you, bro. Hey, that's good. That's good, right? Well, you're making money on your own from your decisions, and that's the important thing, right? I'm just trying to direct you in how to make better decisions, and that would be a way to learn, right? It's overall just saying, hey, let's really look at how things are down here. Let's look at the daily chart this time, and something that we really want to pay attention to today. This is going to be very important because I want you guys to see what the SPX 500 is looking like at this moment with the price action actually included here. Bam, we are getting that curl up for the SPX 500. We are breaking through some sort of resistance here. And since this actually came to this point and held, this potentially was a flag at this point. So this would be something to pay attention to in some way. But we'll pay attention to the fact that that is breaking through these two highs, and we have to hold that. This is going to be very important to watch throughout the entire day. Make sure you watch this by the end of the day in case there is some kind of trap there. Now notice the levels aren't correct here, so we got to go back over to the SPY and see if that's proven here. And if that's proven here, that'd be awesome. The RSI is already showing it. Hey, everything's good as long as we can hold up. Now, to start off the morning, we are going to be outside of a daily and outside of a weekly. What were we stating yesterday? Well, on Fridays, actually, when you don't have a lot of time, well, if I don't have a lot of time and people keep buying this all day, well, then we're not going to get it. We're most likely not going to get to the end of the day and see a big drop. Now, there is one thing to be aware of with this upward move just so far. You want to see if any divergence pops up. That's one, because that means we could pull back with the inauguration early next week. But this is starting to look a little squeezy to me. We'll see if people short the damn thing. But one thing I want you to pay attention to is the fact that the dollar is moving up very dramatically at the same time. Okay, we were looking for this to get weaker, right? This has potential to tell us, hey, watch out for traps. That's all this is saying. It doesn't say there has to be a trap. It's saying, hey, watch out if you see reversal signals, okay? If we see reversal signals and this daily chart starts to not cross up by the end of the day, we might end up seeing some kind of, sorry, I'm clicking around a lot, some kind of 2-hour pullback. Now, at this moment, we have broken the series between these highs. Okay, awesome. We're breaking that. Can we see a 2-hour pullback, maybe to dip down to these type of levels to then curl back up, right? We want to see if we can hold this level like we tried to in the past, like we tried to gap up to it, like we tried to hold it in the past, right? Like we tried to hold up in that area. So if this does end up giving a 30-minute divergence and that 2-hour needs to cross down, just be looking for that, and maybe next week we actually get some news with the Fed. Or actually, I don't think Fed interest rate is next week. That's not correct. I need to correct myself here before I say something stupid, which always ends up happening. Yeah, next week, it's kind of like the direction. This is why next week could be just a squeeze, okay? This is why next week could be a squeeze if this does not sell off, or if it does, okay? If this actually can hold and we end the week kind of at the highs, you can keep squeezing because you do not have a lot of data. Monday is inauguration day. We don't have a market open then. Tuesday, you get some bill things, right? We get some bills going out there. 3-month bill auction, 6-month bill auction, 42-day bill auction, 52-week bill auction. After that, you get the 30-year mortgage rate, which if the yields keep coming down. I wonder when they actually take that reading. If it's for last month, it might look like garbage. But after that, we have initial jobless claims. Pretty much you have little bits of data, but you don't have those big data points. We kind of had that this week, and then next week you kind of don't have them until Friday, I believe. Friday you will get existing home sales, and that one might come in a little bit bad. Then you get the S&P Global Composite PMI, the flash PMI for manufacturing services and composite. So you see how we don't really have a ton of really influential news. I'm sure people will read into the jobless claim because jobs data is what caused some turmoil in here. But other than that, it's like if we pick a direction for now, and that direction technically as of right now is up, we could continue that trend for days without seeing a pullback, like a meaningful pullback, a 2-hour pullback. We could see those little 30-minute ones where we just bounce off of that 5-day moving average, or the 9 even on the 30 minutes. So that's just what I'd be aware of. Be aware that these things are crossing up, but look how it is at the end of the day and watch out for reversal signals. The Qs are still within their weekly expected move. Notice this is a dramatic move outside the daily. I want you guys to understand just how bullish that is. That's not you know 1%, okay, say 0.9. You are now like double the daily expected move. Heading to the weekly though, so this is where we might ping pong around a little bit. We'll see what happens. But if we can just start to squeeze, if people try to short this, that would be interesting, because then you'd have people shorting it while some people look like they might be moving into cash while stocks are going higher. Very, very interesting looks. Now, Apple did scare the crap out of everyone, right? Apple scared the crap out of everyone. This is why we just talked about this in our video, to treat this very seriously. This is a very bad looking bar. You have weekly signals that look bad here as well that are turned down. This could easily end up going lower, right? I believe everyone's focused on 220, some open interest down there. But for Apple, we are outside of a monthly, we are outside of a weekly, and if you have daily expected moves for Apple today, that might help you out. Okay, if you need to make a decision. As we can see, you have 30-minute divergence. What I'm really looking at is, I think I like the hourly chart better. Okay, I like this look better. And if this can prove itself, I would really be happy with Apple. And I think Apple actually might go up to test this little area right in here towards 246, right? If not 250. I think you're looking at that area if you can break through this high right there. That's what I'd be paying attention to. Obviously, there's a breakdown area at 241. So that's the first little area I would be cautious, would be 241. As long as we beat this high. We haven't done that yet, so we have to look for rejections. And we're still going to use the 30-minute for those rejections. So we will be checking on Apple on the 30-minute, but we will be making sure that that hourly is crossed up. As of right now, Apple only up 1.39%, so not even a big snapback from the bad behavior there, like really not the biggest snapback. You would expect a snapback if the market's really saying, hey, we're really wanting to go up from here. So very interesting here. This is interesting because you do have some forms of divergence saying yields can actually go higher and TLT could back off. You could see that early on today. Watch out for daily expected moves. This is a very strong move and you are seeing some reversal signals. So we'll see if this ends up squeezing, but this might need to back off and kind of make the right shoulder that could have been. Now, the reason that that could not happen, and you could just see these little brief pullbacks that keep heading in the upward direction, is because you really reacted to a level right at that gap fill. And then you were able to get this pull down, and that pull down allows you enough to maybe break through this and start to get that series of higher lows. So we'll be paying attention to it. But I just want you to see the 2 hour, it's not even overbought yet, okay? So this thing can go higher. I'm really looking for that 87.90 at this point. That looks pretty nice. And if we're going to see the yields turn around, well, they're going to show us a signal most likely. Most of the time, we're going to see a signal. You see that on TLT, so you could get some pullbacks in this overall area. But it's important to understand, look at the 2 hour MACD. It is just super negative. You notice if we're going to build up, even from these slightly higher levels than where we're at right now, you see the series of higher lows to keep you going in the upward direction, right? The most likely thing is, hey, we're going to see some kind of move and then that actually fails, or we're going to make those series of higher lows if this thing's going to end up going in the upward direction. But like I said, we've already got the reading into all the data this week, and we don't have a ton of data besides like maybe people read into initial jobless claims. And I'm sorry if you hear scratching. The old man is scratching his bed right now. If it drives me nuts, you'll probably hear me be like, stop it. So I'm just interested in why this is happening. That's my main thing. Why is this happening? If this is going to be such a good move, then the dollar, technically, you would want that to be backing off. So we'll see how this looks by the end of the day. You do have 2-hour potential reversal here with the higher low, getting a little closer to the center line. So this means, hey, the 2-hour can go back into a positive trend, and that might be the only pullback you get for the dollar. That means we need to just be a little bit aware of some kind of traps. But we do notice a lot in short squeezes, the dollar and the market can go up at the same time for a decent amount of time. Right, that can go on for a while. So we'll see what really the SPY looks like. We'll see how people are positioning. I think if people dramatically go to the put side, I would more so be looking like, we're really ending up at higher levels. We still have a 68% chance to land down 60. I mean, the most likely area to land today is like right here. Is my mic off again? Oh, thank God. I gotta start checking that. Oh my gosh, I gotta start checking that before I start talking. Someone's got to come in every single morning and be like, hey, Lucas, is your mic on? Okay, that'd really help me out because randomly sometimes the settings change on my streaming platform here. As far as someone I noticed asking about Sofi, I really liked the setup from Sofi. I really did. I ended up just doing the Amazon plate, but I really liked this. I mean, okay, so let's do this backwards. So why did I like it? Well, the daily chart saw that dip down, very good, went back down into the breakout area. Look at this breakout. That's the breakout area right in here, right? We went deep into it. We went like as deep as you can into it, and then we got by the center line. Right when it gets by the center line and I see something like this, I better be looking at 2-hour charts, especially if I see another drop coming. I want to be aware if that turns around. So during this time, I should be watching that 2-hour chart, and then once that actually confirms up, I can go, yes, I am in this thing. Notice that gets you in around 1441. If you waited for the daily swing, you might be in now, right? You might be in now. You might see that strength of the RSI and be like, all right, we're going to try to test this high. We're probably going to test this little area up in here, and will we fail? Will we succeed? And that's the benefit of the 2-hour, right? That's the benefit of the full technical analysis course, not just the swing trading course, is you get in much earlier. You can really see what you kind of missed out on by waiting for the swing trade. This is why I've really transitioned from being a swing trader to let me find positions before the swing trade truly sets up, right? And that's in the full technical analysis course. Guys, you got less than 2 weeks to get that. Actually, it's like 2 weeks on the dot, right? 2 weeks on the dot to get that for just $100. But Sofi, I think it looks fantastic. You want to be aware that you're reacting to a key level that has a lot of resistance. So be aware for little pullbacks. Be aware that this 30-minute is really high up, and Sofi could be the one that has seen a great move, but it might need a pullback at this point. And the best part about Sofi was you even had the 30-minute divergence. Now, for Sofi, that could have been taken on the first bar. You could have waited for another successful bar or waited for the end of the day to make sure this isn't crossing back down. I think those decisions were great as you remain in the same area. And then you see the gap up, and then you see the gap up, right, as we take back the 5. So never cross back down on the 30. It's just such a good look. It is such a good look. And it's just buying. You just want to see if that 30-minute can curl down, maybe to retest that 5 at some point. But if this thing's going to continue to squeeze, then you might just see minor little things like this and just continue in the upward direction. So you're aware of the risk. You're aware of the reward. Right now, there is risk of a pullback for Sofi on the shorter time frames. But on the daily, you're going, hey, this daily's just about to get going, right? So a little bit of both. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Everybody trading stocks. Oh, come on through. No. Semis. SMH actually. I mean, this thing did come down. But it's still confirmed up on technically a positive bar. It's still confirmed up on technically a positive bar. Now, notice how this looks like kind of like crap right? If you're using the MACD for this, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. That's why I'm not really leaning towards trading anything like this. But if you really pay attention to what's happening, we're building a ton of liquidity here. Whichever way that this thing breaks, you're probably going to see a massive move, okay? If you really look at this, it might be the wonkiest and weirdest consolidative structure you've ever seen. You did this, you built a bunch of liquidity. You did this, you built a bunch of liquidity. You did this, and then you curled down. Like, I wouldn't even blame you if you were telling me head and shoulders. I genuinely wouldn't. You didn't violate the lows. You have almost a even low. Look at that. I mean, genuinely, if this thing can break through here, maybe retest and head to the upside, you might be waiting for that, genuinely, because what's been going on here is a lot of chop, a lot of liquidity being built. And so you want to make sure that's not a trap. Well, at that point, I would say, hey, look for that breakout. You'll probably see some kind of retest of 261.17 somewhere at these highs. And then if that can get a reaction, that's where I would say, hey, the risk looks pretty good. The risk to reward looks pretty good. And Bruce, see, that's kind of the problem there with that's kind of the problem with weekly charts at this moment. I mean, you've confirmed divergence. You probably have an opportunity to see weeks of positivity, but you have an opportunity that this could be brief. And this is the problem at the highs as far as it goes for swing trading on the weekly, if you're doing the indices and things like that, and individual stocks as well. Like, if I was looking for an opportunity that could see the upside, probably, I don't know, most likely Amazon's a good one, but I don't know if this is going to last that long. And that's just the truth. I don't know if it's going to last that long, because as you're down in these areas, it's very obvious. As you get to these areas, you can see that extension, bigger moves. But notice now, those moves have turned into smaller move, smaller move, smaller move, smaller move. So this is where you have to weigh the risk. The risk on the weekly chart is you're going to see this react up for a couple of weeks, and then you're actually going to get some kind of corrective move. That is a risk that is out there. So I'm talking about I would say, like, medium-term hold, as it's a weekly chart. It looks like that's more looking like a short-term hold on the daily chart to me. And that just means, hey, the swing trade on the weekly, it might get you in real late. And by the time the weekly actually does cross, you might already be up in these levels. So I'm looking at the daily, and then I would say, okay, if the daily can curl up the weekly, then we might see some extended upside, right? But we know where the monthly expected move is. We know where our target is, right? That's pretty much our target. Now, we can blow past that, but just watch out if that starts to fail. And I think you have the opportunity to start to see something like this into February as well. So we'll see what's going to happen with that, because this would be a pretty loose divergence, right? Unless it's super significant and it just fails right away. So we'll be paying attention. All right, opening up 30-minute. Got to be watching this. We want to see if there's some squeeze behavior. We want to see if this thing fades. We want to see if it's holding divergence points. And as of right now, it looks like you are in the RSI. You kind of want to get rid of that early on in the morning. Alrighty then. And then one thing with volatility is the potential for a double bottom down here. Notice that the 2 hour is extremely beat up. Extremely beat up. So what we want to do is see if this 30-minute can confirm up. It would mean there's some risk there. We notice that the dollar is starting to come off. This is what we want to see. We want to see that dollar come off, and we want to see how the PCC really opens up here. I would not, this is a very rapid bullish trend with potential to squeeze. So it will be a little difficult to, I would say, short unless you see a solid confirmation down, like, right away. Amazon, fly. What's going on in the market? Well, I think the market is judging where the pricing of stocks are. You actually did see some breadth come in. I gotta find that ticker I like to look at, but I need to mark that down. I'll find it in a moment and I'll show it to you guys. But you did see some of the smaller stocks actually go up. The reason that the market isn't exploding right now, by the way, is because of Apple and Nvidia, right? Apple and Nvidia are the two reasons that the market's just not absolutely exploding right now, just so you're aware. The market would be insane if Apple and Nvidia were seeing more upside moves and didn't go reach for Apple didn't reach for that low, right? Why is the market up though? I think it's this. We built a good base. We got good data while we were building the base. Then we geared up, and then we saw good CPI, and then we kept going, right? And you flagged out. So now you just have good structure. You do have good structure, and notice these moves are happening before the market opens. These moves are happening before the market opens, meaning they're not allowing retail to really react. So a lot of retail, once you get up to these areas, they start to look to short things. And that's where this can start to backfire, because you have a lot of puts out there all the way until like February, what is it? February 7th, February 14th or something like that. Yeah, so that's what we'll be watching for. As far as it goes for Amazon, great move. Great move. Not even overbought yet on the 30-minute. Isn't that crazy? Not even overbought. Now, you're running into an area where you could consolidate or back off. Okay, you could consolidate or back off. So just be aware of that, right? If you're part of Patreon, you know exactly what we're talking about. You have daily expected moves. Are we above them? Do we remain above them? Are we running into a weekly expected move? You have to take all those things into consideration, look at your trade, and then be like, hey, how much money did I make on this move? Can I manage my risk in some way? Maybe by taking up a profit of one contract, two contract, right? That's what I like to do a lot of the time. Big caps potentially bigger gains versus small caps. Actually, I think that means that small caps actually could catch some big bids. I mean, another one that I was looking at, which isn't, I don't know necessarily the sizing of Intel, but you guys told me about Intel. I really like this. You made almost the same structure as the Qs. You saw the upside, you saw the retest, you saw more upside, you take back the 5, and you happen to have some great little divergence down here. And this is telling you, hey, the daily scale has divergence on the RSI, rejection divergence on the MACD, plain and simple. And you're seeing that extend higher. And we were saying, hey, I'd be watching out for 2150. But if this is a good enough reaction, you can go all the way up to 2363 before you see resistance really come in. Very impressed by Intel. Now, that was one you more want to take at lower levels because look at the gaps, right? But stocks like this are really convincing me, ooh, some stocks that you haven't looked at in a while might be making big bases. Tesla's one I wanted to talk about as well, still waiting on the daily scale to turn up. You are noticing the signal line get crossed down there for the RSI. We're just going to leave that up for the time being. I think people have liked it pretty well. We're noticing the 2-hour going positive, not overbought yet. The 30-minute going positive again. It barely got overbought the first time, and you have divergence, so you want to be aware of that, but you are getting the reaction off of the 5. If you end up curling up here, hey, you could test that high, go make a new one, and then we'd be paying attention to daily, weekly expected moves for Tesla. $5 from Short Friday. Sorry about that, Short Fridays. Wanted to make sure to talk about some things first. Ask Grok AI, which stock had the best chance of falling in the next 30 days? Chipotle, CMG. I'm buying puts on this as a test. Let's go look at Chipotle. It has the best chance of falling. I would clarify what you mean by falling if you're asking an AI. I've done a lot of stuff with AI, and it's gotten a lot of math wrong. I always test it. I do fun stuff with probabilities just for fun. I throw out roulette strategies to see what probabilities it comes up with, and then I do my own calculation, and I'm like, it's like wrong, I would say like 30% of the time with the calculation. So just be aware. You might want to specify what you're talking about with it. But this is one that actually got pretty damn overbought. So I think that's reasonable to back off and retest a breakout area. I think that would be reasonable for Chipotle more than other stocks, because look at the difference here. Look at the difference, how overbought you got in this area. For the 2-hour chart, we notice at the lows, we don't even have divergence. So just be aware if the 2-hour drops, you're probably liking that Short Fridays, right? Your AI might be seeing something like that, and that would be impressive. We want to look for higher lows and things like that as well. Daily scale has not turned up yet, but you got some pretty good moves here. You can take back that 200. I'd be very happy with it and say, hey, where are we reacting to? Probably something like 61.35. If you can get this daily to curl up, that's where I'd be watching out for a pullback. And if you can keep that going, then you might end up all the way to 64.55, right? So That's what I'd be looking at, but thank you so much for the $5. Let me know how it goes. Keep us updated. I want to see if AI gets that right. Apple now only up 1.1% as of now. We really got to be paying attention to the overall market at this point. I think SPY is going to be the one to watch. I will have volatility up as well. As you're seeing that start to curl up, we do have the dollar still increasing, and I really want to see those put call levels right away in the morning here. Tesla screaming, AMD is running. Yeah, AMD as well. AMD, even though I don't really like how the stock moves, it's moving pretty good. It's making these little shelves. Hey, that's great. This was like, hey, is it a flag to break down? Is it a little mini head and shoulders or something like that? The 2-hour chart giving you the next point of divergence with the blip in here, but still holding it across. Always got to be aware if we want to make that in the near term. Daily chart is what I was watching, and if you look at this daily chart, that is daily divergence. So, you know, it's kind of like this. If you're looking for, hey, what stock is a good possible weekly trade? Well, it's kind of telling you right now that daily divergence is kind of saying, hey, yeah, we could see a weekly up move from AMD, maybe to go up towards these levels up here, right? Get back into our zone, right? And then we have to see if that can hold, because you don't necessarily have reversal signals. You don't need them, right? You don't need them. You didn't have them at all right here, and you saw a good move. But this is one on the weekly, I think, could use that rebound for the retest of the broken area, and then we'll see what happens from there. You retake it, we got to talk differently about it. But if you reject from it, ooh, that might mean some more downside. Remember, AMD does still have monthly divergence. Doesn't mean there's not a trade setup, right? There is a trade setup, but I just don't really trust AMD and its moves overall. Let's look for the SPY here. That's 16, not 12. Exactly. At 16 with a reversal signal. Just be aware. This is what we need to be aware of. This means, hey, this could pull back. And you do have the percentages. You're up here early on in the day. The daily is what we're paying attention to. We want to see if it can come back into the zone. This is the highest percentage area to land today. Right? Your area between the daily and the weekly. But we want to see, as we're above these, do we use them as support? As we're above this, do we use it as support? Yeah, I did hear, I was looking at some stuff about XRP. XRP, very interesting. Let's do this one here, 2-hour. Curled down, but really just pulling back with time. This is a fantastic move. Look at how just a 2-hour curl up can really move with these type of things. Very, very good. No management of risk having to come in with that 2-hour rejecting or something. So very good move. Now you're just overall moving sideways or consolidating in some way. You want to be aware that this is turned down, and you can see that move down to lower levels, right? But you really just don't want to take out, I would say, probably this area right in here. Probably don't want to take that out right now. The daily scale is high up. So if you start to see 2-hour divergence, if you see, 2-hour, we can see that divergence on the RSI. It just means, hey, I got to start to be cautious, right? I'm starting to see things on the RSI. I don't see it on both at the same time, so there's always a good chance if that can curl up. But, after a great move like this and I start seeing this, I go, some kind of pullback, something is going to happen here. And there is potential for that to reverse. I wouldn't say the highest potential. I think you're most likely going to see this continue to consolidate. And then we're going to see that turn up. And then that's where I'd be watching out for some little signals for an overall 4-hour pullback. Look at the 4-hour, though. The 4-hour is extremely positive. So do I think there's more upside for XRP? Most likely, yes. Do I think that it could pull back on a, see a 2-hour up move? Yes. Do I think that that up move could lead to a divergence that needs to pull back a little bit deeper? Yes, I do. Right? I think this is maybe going to play out something like this. And then we'll actually see that $4 top possibly. Right? That would be if this thing moves perfectly and everything goes right. As far as the momentum signals go, that would be a good way to build up over time. It's a very strong move, right? Very strong moves, very unlikely to just get a very, very strong move and then just fall through the floor. It's more likely to see strong move, smaller move, fall, people think it's bearish, then it turns up again, people think it's really bullish, then it falls. That's more likely as far as tricking people in XRP. What time frame is it set for? It changes with every time frame. So a 30-minute MACD looks completely different than a 2-hour MACD. It just changes with the and you said MACD, right? Did you say RSI or MACD? RSI and MACD. Yeah, MACD. I mean, the settings are pretty basic settings, right? 12, 26, 9, close, EMA. And then RSI is going to be the same, 14, close, SMA, 14, 2. So these are a little bit different, but this is just always how I've used them. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if these things can hold up over time. Apple's starting to give it up a little bit right now, right? Not confirming the divergence. This is why for Apple, you want to be really waiting. This is a very dangerous stock right now. It could be a great opportunity though, right? When the fear is the highest in something, it might be an opportunity, right? But we understand this is a very bad bar, a very bad bar. You have to see confirmations. I'm really feeling bullish on Bitcoin. You guys know I was looking for those traps at these lows. You guys know that I was looking for the daily to whip back up. The daily whip back up. So you get through this, it's a pretty surefire thing you're getting to this. And you've already seen one thing to the upside to really take people out, one, maybe two things to the downside, three things to the downside to really take them out. So it's just very unlikely with that kind of support to see a downtrend now, I think. But we always want to be aware of the risk. Look where you're at, right? We could have 4 hour or something like that up in these areas. You don't really on both at the same time. So even if this wanted to pull down, you would more so be saying cup and handle could be taking place here. But thank you, Bitcoin, for showing us this dramatic 4 hour divergence down by 91.8K. Really helped us out. 449, can you look at Short Friday's Nike? She building. Well, let's go check on Nike real quick. We've been paying attention to this a little bit. The thing with this is I just think you have to be waiting for daily curl ups and stuff. I think you could get a reaction at some point. You have rejection divergence, so you could see a daily cross up. I just want to see if that creates a series of higher lows, because you could literally just react to the top of this and fail. You could react all the way up to here and fail, right? We could see something like that. So we really got to see how this behaves over time. But as far as, say, the weekly chart goes, I believe it was the weekly chart if I'm correct, if that would cross up, it would mean, hey, this potentially has a investment point for us here. This is saying, hey, the monthly chart could curl up if that weekly is able to catch some ground. And you can see Nike actually go up for a while. Dang, that's what's up, Short Fridays. And we did look over at Intel. If you just want to go back over about 10, I'd say like 15 minutes or so, you can find Intel. We just went through it a little bit ago. Maybe we can look at it in a little bit after we see a little bit more price action. This is great though for the weekly chart. So just to be aware here, unless we actually see this completely flush, you're above the 20. You're above the 5, and as of this move now, you're above the 9, which is everything that's saying, hey, this could make some kind of move upward, right? This could squeeze. The daily is crossed up on a positive bar. I know it's red. I can turn it green for you if you'd like, but that is a positive bar. Ryan, thank you so much for subscribing today. Really appreciate it. Everyone, give a like to the channel for Ryan and say, hi, Ryan. How's it going? What stock you trading? Okay, we'll do running late. That's okay. And Steve, if you can't find it, just come back over. I'll take a quick peek at it, but try to find it first for me if you don't mind. Qs as well, just notice that that is not curling up. You're actually getting the resistance at the weekly expected move, okay? This is where if I'm on Friday and I'm seeing this and I'm seeing divergence right here on the RSI, I'm going, let me just weigh this and say, hey, I still want to be in, right, my thinking is I want to be in if there's some kind of squeeze, but I don't want my risk to really be that high because we still have this above us, we still have this above you, so you could easily do this, but it might mean hey, if I bought my stuff down here and I'm still holding on to it, which I'm not holding QQQ anymore, just so you're aware, then I'd be looking at this and going, okay, maybe I'm going to make some money out of the overall move, so I'm at least positive on the move, and leave whatever I can to see if that can catch the squeeze, because the squeeze will make you a lot of money there. So I'm gonna do something like that, maybe with something like Amazon, right? See if this can fully confirm it, look for that weekly expected move or daily expected move, maybe take some profit at the end of the day or something like that, and see if I can leave some contracts for a squeeze. Look at the PCC, big change, a lot of calls coming in as the dollar is turning higher. We just want to really see if that holds throughout the day. Really want to see if that holds throughout the day. All right, it's more so when we start to cross back up that we really pay attention. You see like these, once we actually cross back up, we really pay attention, right? This could just be setting the overall trap. Like the dollar can still make this move higher while the market does. So at the end of the day, the most important thing is the price action. If this never curls down, if this never fails, then this means nothing, this means nothing. This just means, okay, we're going up, watch the dollar. If it continues to go up, hey, you know you're probably in some kind of squeeze and this move is not going to last too long. So just keep that in mind. Let's see, we did go over Chipotle. What was it? Someone just asked about GME and AMC. Yeah, let's go over to GME and AMC. AMC, again, seeing more positivity. This floor here, very V-shape. That was enough to convince me, hey, I'm going to possibly, in case this is some rigged thing just to get out of stuff, I'm going to take like some month-out contracts. Those are already benefiting. I made that decision towards yesterday, the middle of the day yesterday. Just made that decision as we were taking back the 5. I knew the risk that we could turn down, but I really thought since this was a V-shape, we could end up going higher. So I'm going to see if I can make a little 50, 100% on some option there. And then if it just continues to be good, if like this daily starts to curl up, I can hold on to it for a while, maybe play a weekly expected move next week. Or, hey, see something crazy, because this was really freaking random. I don't know why this even happened. GME, once again, I don't know why that even happened besides like maybe repositioning. I'm wondering if GME is able to make an upside move. It's really just holding the lows now. As far as the data for today goes, you will see that the building permits came in. Their previous was 1.493. The consensus on that 1.46. Forecast 1.48. We came in at 1.483, so almost even there. And then housing starts 1.499. The previous actually got adjusted down, I believe, and the consensus was 1.32 and 1.32. So that tells me like strength is there actually, which is very weird with how home builders has been doing. So I'm guessing home builders likes that. They like that data at least. And you would expect that to already be priced in a little bit before the data. So this reversal signal makes total sense now. It makes total sense. We were just worried because this dropped so much that those numbers could be bad. And overall, they're pretty strong. Housing starts month over month coming in at 15.8%. The last one, the previous one, got revised down to 3.78 or 3.7. And the forecast on this was only 2%, so that's some big strength there. So maybe that's why they're benefiting a lot. Notice that the dollar still not really getting that breakout. I think you're more worried about the dollar. Let's see if the 4-hour can do it. If the 4-hour can get a really good cross up here, that's when I'd be a little bit cautious, right? We're at a weekly expected move going into a weekend. Crazy stuff has happened to Trump before at key moments, so we're about to hit the key moment, probably the most key moment possible. Over the next couple of days, right? The inauguration. So we'll be watching. I just want to see. Also, I want to see the volume from yesterday. Yeah, you're on. Your volume's going down a little bit from this point. Actually, still going down. Still going down. Still going down. Little pop up for a second. Now we're going down. Now we're going down. So very interesting with the weak volume. Oh, I say going down. We're in the first 20 minutes of the day. We gotta look at that at the end of the day, towards the last hour of the day. Who the heck did something over here? Justin, 420. What up? Can you look at MSOS? Just broke the 5-day. Let's go check out something over here. Thank you so much for the $5. Of course, we'll go look at it. You gave $5. Oh. we talked about this before, but that I kind of like that. I kind of like that. I want to see a closing above the 5, above the 9 now on the daily. That would really convince me, like, hey, we have a good shot to break through this. You are seeing this. This is why this is good. And it's not necessarily like a big divergence thing, right? You have one here, rejection may be happening now. You can go into a 4-hour chart and probably see it nice and smooth, right? One there, one here. If it crosses up, ooh, that'd be good. So you notice why I'm being a little bit patient. If that can cross up, I'm pretty happy with it, right? Because I have rejection divergence, so a signal that can help me with that timing might be good. And then if it takes you past here, ooh, we might be gunning for 521. So very, very good look. Very good look, actually. Now we want to look at this from the weekly scale. We want to see how far down this is and then find some key points. Those key points are probably going to be this. If this ends up in the bullish direction, right? We still have to make sure to be managing our risk. But we'd be looking at probably these two areas right there. I think in this area is where if you can break through that, we see the wicks, right? We see the wicks. We see the breakout and retest and go higher. We see the retest for the bounce, fails, flushes through it very rapidly. We see resistance, we see support. This level is fantastic. This level is great. This level's all right. This level is, I would be aware of it for maybe a pullback or some kind of drop, right? If I need to manage at some point. But I really like that 627 as of now. And then if you can create the series of higher lows, you're just in business. You might be in that positive trend after the next push higher because this is pretty freaking deep. So you got to be aware of reversal signals anytime if this thing starts to move up. Right now, you haven't even gotten the confirmation, or I'm sorry, this is the weekly chart here. So you'd want to look for daily pullbacks, 2-hour divergences, things like that. Oh, shoot. Oh, yeah, but the 4-hour is what I'd really be looking at here. I think the 4-hour is what I'd really be looking at here. And I'd be like, hey, can we see that strength now? Can we see a 4-hour strong move? And does that just continue right away? Maybe small position, 30-minute pullback, another position, right? I like to do a lot of things like that. Broke down from the little triangle here. So I like it. I think it looks all right. You're waiting for confirmation just to make sure, but you could see confirmation happening on the 4-hour with this bar, whether it crosses or not. You're seeing it on the RSI with big divergence. You're seeing it in the price action if that bar remains good. And then and the reason I say early is just if you're managing your risk, if you're managing your trade, if you understand this is really beat up, maybe you don't even need to play options, right? Options might be a little rough with this one. Look how far down it is, okay? Options might be a little rough. If you're betting on a snapback, I don't know if that'll happen. It can, but I think you're looking for this too, possibly as an investment for a little bit of time, right? Daily scale, if that can go positive, it'd say, hey, we might have a few weeks of positivity, which you'll see pullbacks in those weeks. Just make sure. Why did we gap up so much today? I think the confluence, the amount of info we got this week and the amount that it ended up being pretty good is there. I think that's why you're mostly ending up in the upward direction. So this is what we're paying attention to. We will look for if the SPY can make a new high and the Qs can't. Qs are kind of lagging behind here. But why are you getting an upside move? Because people decided to buy. They looked at all the data this week and they said, I'm buying this. That's all that happened. And they might and some people pointing out Trump effect. We even got a retest of that trend between the highs real quick. That might be nothing, right? It's just a little retest as of now. But the thing is, look at what happened with the election when we saw something scary. Then we see something scary and we start to build up. Now, what you want to be aware of is this isn't moving up. Something just to be aware of, again, volatility. We want to still watch that. It's still holding the divergence point. The dollar is still positive. PCC very positive. Very cally, right? So what I want to be aware of is the last time this move happened with the Trump thing, it gapped up after the news. Now you're kind of seeing these gap ups before the news. So just know there is some risk here, but this is all great stuff. This is all great stuff. It really is. And the ultimate way you're going to all-time highs is still if you break this high. The way you know you're possibly in a positive trend is if you start to break this high and then you solidify maybe a higher low. That's another way to get there. But overall, it's just, do you break this high And then do you make the lower high? 10-year stop moving up and the dollar stop moving up. Yeah. So 10-year, we'll see if this is able to curl up on like a 2-hour or something, but the dollar, it's kind of rejecting at this moment. That could mean this 2 hours is actually going to cross. The only thing that worries me is we tried to make another downside move and then we saved it. So we'll watch it. I don't think it's anything to really scare us out of anything yet. I think this is still looking a little bit like a squeeze to me. The only thing that I'm looking at is XLU's not the happiest. If we look at HYG though, still in the upward direction. See what happens with that going forward. Oh shoot, this is my volatility chart. Let me get this back over here. I just wanted volatility to be up so I could click it pretty easily. But we just watch. We're sitting. Apple looks like it's bottoming out. Yeah, Apple does have the bottoming out signals. We haven't gotten that to confirm. Once this confirms, I might be playing that 241, maybe 250. I'm mainly looking at this. This is the main area. I think I could probably pull that to here. And where's that wick? Right there. So somewhere in here is where I'm kind of paying attention. I think you could make a big roundup move to there if you're going to squeeze in the market. I think Apple could see that. That's like the highest. And then just be aware, Apple is down on this MACD still, right? It's kind of like Microsoft. It's down on the MACD. So we're going to be aware of lower highs for something like Apple. It's a big move down. You could just see a little retrace and then another one. Let's go look at Microsoft. Microsoft already doing the thing. That's great. We were looking at this base. I like this a lot. It gave you the 30-minute divergence. We pop up. We look for our zone. Where are we going to back off? Well, potentially right now, right? The top of our zone. We've used that before. Okay, so this was to use it to go lower. Will this be able to go higher and use it to go higher? That's kind of what I'm wondering. Now we can see a left ahead, potential right shoulder. We'll see what happens with that. I want to see these 30 minutes really tell me like, hey, we are getting out of this. We are crossing back below the 5. That's what I need to see because we've gotten good data. People are buying stocks. I know it's Friday and there's been big moves, so we can see profit taking. So we're just watching. SPY still holding at higher levels. Qs getting the rejection as of now. We'll see if that can hold at the daily expected move. So let's watch the Qs for a bit. Easy play. Let me look at it, Jack Cats, on my other charts real quick. I want to leave up the Qs for a moment here. Apple actually, oh, very cool from Apple. I do want to talk about this real quick, and then I'll go look at Vera on my other charts. Apple, I want you to look at this little bar right here. This little bar right here. You know where that is? That's a weekly expected move, my friends. Look at the touch right there. That is a bottom side weekly expected move. Same tag as over here. So we'll see if that can start to produce. We need that to curl up at least on a 30-minute. I need a reason to take the trade. Like, right, if I didn't wait to take the trade and say I just took the trade, you know, in here at some point, the most amount of value you're probably gaining from not waiting for another day to see this, or till the next day to see it, the amount that you're probably gaining is maybe, like, I'll be generous and say maybe 8% on an option. That's like a month out. So waiting will not really get you in that late for something like Apple. The ultimate signal, though, I like the 2 hour. You guys know I like my 2 hours. The ultimate signal is the 2 hour chart, in my opinion. 577, that is extremely bullish, and the dollar is dropping off from that with potential 30-minute divergence. I don't pay attention to those too much, but it is telling me, hey, this 2 hour could curl down in negative territory. We're seeing extreme bullishness right now from the how people are positioned in the PCC. A lot of the time in a short squeeze, we're more paying attention if people keep shorting, so that's kind of interesting. But we need to take into consideration the fact that this is extreme, people getting extremely bullish. And that could mean they're buying. Buying, buying, buying. So that would be very interesting to head up here with this type of behavior. It'd be good. It means things are really, really back on the bull side. Remember, we were in extreme fear. So we were in extreme fear literally on Monday. By Friday, we're starting to get back to what, neutral maybe? Are we still in fear? Who knows? Let's see. Fear, greed. Let's see what that's at right now. Yeah, so let's see. A week ago, you were at a 26. The previous close, yesterday, you were at a 28. Today, you were at a 37. You saw a 9-point increase on the fear greed index, and you're not even to neutral yet. There's still fear. That's crazy. This might totally shift things, and this is how fast we can end up, and this is what I was talking about on the daily chart. I think you're going to see a moment where we go into extreme greed pretty quickly, and then we'll be watching out. But as we've built down so much, we might need to make those new signals. This is why I want you to pay attention to that, possibly continuing for a couple of curl-ups. This could leak into February now with how long this took and how much liquidity it built. We can end up in there. We're still going to pay attention to it if any divergence crosses down by the center line. But just be aware, if we get some kind of major move up, we can see another major move going forward. So we'll be paying attention. A lot of people leaning towards a top towards the end of January now. And to me, that would mean you have to see like people actually react to another cut. If you guys go look right now, I mean, people are leaning towards not this meeting a cut, but another cut now. Like it's changed completely over the last couple of days. Pretty wild. There we go. Seeing an upward move. Like I said, if Nvidia and Apple can get involved here a little bit more. It looks like Nvidia is. That's good. 2.6. That's good. Curling up. We like to see it. We still need to get above 141, 141.12. Really need to get above that. But pretty great, actually. Reacting to a key level. Getting a little scoop down here. Curls back up. Hey, can we see that move and start that again? Because right now you're trying to say, hey, high or low. That's what you're trying to do right now for Nvidia. But if Nvidia, Apple can start to participate, that'd be a pretty damn good sign. That would be a pretty good sign. Not really participating at this moment, though. Let me get back over to the Qs, as those were rejecting a little bit there. Took some profit and added some hedges. And Dave, I think that's probably like the best way that I could say to do it at this point. It's like you want that small hedge just in case to maybe offset those runners that you're leaving. Okay, awesome. You see this thing squeeze and squeeze. Maybe you used an amount for hedging that you don't even care about. You just let that thing go worthless because you're making enough money on some kind of squeeze at that point. And then if the squeeze doesn't happen and it starts to curl down, you can react and then you have a good position possibly there. So I actually kind of like that. I think that's probably the most risk-averse way to play this. It mainly just in that probably depends on your position sizing of all of those things together. But thoughts on Nvidia 136 call expiring today in those 215. Okay, so we're going to tell you something here for today. Sorry about that. So you have a 136 call for Nvidia that expires today. You're outside of a daily expected move as of right now for Nvidia. I'm just going to help you out by telling you that. Now, this is important to know. 143 is the weekly expected move. So how likely do you think it is? Like just have a common sense about it. How likely do you think it is that we are going to end up all the way up here today? Because that would be the next point I'm really paying attention to. 141 weekly expected move and that level in there, that daily expected move, which you're above right now. So this tells me if I want to, my expiration is today. If I want to remain in this for some potential here, I could take my profits, look another week, and then look for a weekly expected move next week. And then at that point, I'd be like, yay, sick. Oh, awesome profits. We like that. But you're above the daily expected move for Nvidia right now. That can continue, but you don't have time. Because if that easily just goes like that, all your money's gone. Because it's today. So you gotta make some decisions today is what I'm overall getting at. Make whatever decisions are best for you. If this daily does curl up, it is likely to see more upside. We can see if the 30 minutes able to curl up, you can see more upside. So you could see more upside today if this can curl up. It's just, you know, you're making money right now is what it looks like to me, 137.40, and you have an expiration today. So that's all I would mention. It seems like you have some decisions to make there. Yeah, AJ, just trying to give you, that's good. So you're asking just for some confidence in your overall thinking. I like that. I think that's a good thing to do. That's perfectly fine. Bounce it off of your buddy over here. But yeah, just from a risk to reward perspective for the day, you're not looking for the risk to reward for another week. You're looking at a risk to reward for the day. What is that daily expected move telling you? Well, it's technically telling you that the risk is this, and all that has to happen is this, and you lose all of it. All right, all that has to happen is this into like 130, and then even if it bounces back, you're maybe breaking even at that point, and you're still going to be below. So that's just all I'm saying at this point. You just got to look at if you had this for another week, you'd be going, okay, I'm going to see if this thing curls up today. I'm liking the structure of the overall market. Hey, can we project higher into a weekly expected move next week, right? But since your expiration's today, it's a lot different. But it sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders about it, so that's great. Two hours, 30 minutes. Yeah, we go over that very extensively in the course. We do it very quickly on YouTube, so it might take you a bit to see that over time. But the main thing is you're looking for some kind of confirmation of divergence. That's the main thing, right? We're looking for weakness. We're looking for where that weakness is taking place. And we're looking for if that weakness confirms, and then we're managing our trade. It's literally like a 4-step process pretty much, right? So if I was looking for the SPY, let's say the SPY down in these areas. Well, remember, this was not on the MACD and RSI at the same time. So the MACD, I can follow that a little bit, but maybe I just want to look at the RSI and then see if the MACD follows and then go, okay, I'm going to make a decision here. And then I have a plan, right? And then I have a plan and I say, okay, I know that this level is important. We can see that it's important. We can see a gap in it. We can see support there. So we can know right away that that level right here is very important. So this is very important. So how would I like to break through if I understand how stocks move? Left, head, right shoulder. But everything you're asking is just, hey, this is a 30-minute divergence right here. Boom, that's the trigger. And that's where you start to manage risk. I managed here, bought back in right here, and then I held it. Because I said, if this isn't violated, we're probably going to see some good things. And then we look across and we see all the 2-hour stuff going on, right? And this looks, oh, super confusing and all that. Now, this is not a good curl up, right? For the 2-hour, this is on the last bar of the day. This is a little bit risky to take. But you want to look at the state of the market and look at that 30-minute structure, and that can really help you out in making a decision. I just made a decision towards the end of the day, right in here, that I said, okay, we're not breaking these levels. 30-minute looks good. 2-hour still looks good. It's starting to cross up. I know it's on the last bar of the day, but let's see what happens, right? And a big reason for why I was leaning towards this anyway was because of what Apple was doing. It was because of what Amazon was doing, right? I had other arguments across the board for a lot of stocks that told me a lot of these things. And what you want to get good at is just saying, hey, I want to get good at pointing those things out, right? And then I want to get good at executing. And then after that, managing risk, right? If this didn't gap up and it curled up to here and failed, you would want to know how to manage risk. And we teach all that in the course down in the description. It's 90%. You can get it for like $100 right now. It's crazy. So what are we paying attention to now? Well, there's potential for divergence. So we don't necessarily want this to cross through the signal line. That's why we're leaving the signal line up. Things can get a little confusing when it's real choppy because the MACD sometimes doesn't catch the moves. Notice this hasn't even curled up. but we do have a divergence on the RSI, and we're above a daily expected move. So I'm looking if we need some kind of 2-hour pullback, but I'm also noticing the 2-hour isn't even that overbought. Okay, so this would overall be like a trap if the 2-hour turned down from here. That's what I believe. I think if the 2-hour just turned down today and it was that like this, and it just turned down all day and you saw a flush, I'd probably be like, hey, that's really bad, but I'd be looking for a lower high. Scared money don't make money. I'm just gonna let you know right now, if you're trying to use algorithms, use a computer to trade for you and stuff like that, you need to understand there is risk in every single setup, right? There is risk all the time. Every single second that the market is open or closed, there is risk of holding on to an investment. I mean, think of it this way. Look at California right now. Do you think that there was a risk when they bought that there could be a fire? There was. There was always risk. Do you think that risk increased or decreased when the government decided to not clean up the forest and not clean up these things, and then insurance started to charge people more money because the government wasn't, the local government there wasn't doing those things? That is why insurance increased there. So that's what you have to weigh as you buy anything that is considered maybe an asset. You might even be doing that right now with milk and eggs. You might go to the store today and see eggs for $9 and buy less eggs. Maybe because you're thinking, hey, I can buy less eggs right now because if I buy a bunch of eggs now, maybe in a month they're cheaper, and then I end up paying way too much for eggs for a month. You know? Yeah, the plan really worked here, man. I'm digging it. Leaving the runners is working. Or buy a couple of chickens. Maybe that's the risk to reward. Now, the risk is you're going to have chicken poop everywhere. That's real stanky. What special treat does the wife want today? Well, you know, wife's about to go into a rough period here, just so you guys are aware. She's had a dog with her for her pretty much entire life. My wife's gone through a lot worse things than I have, and her little dog's getting pretty old. Toby's getting pretty old, so we're gonna go see the doctor today, and something bad might have to happen today, and we're not happy about it. That's why we've been a little hit or miss with some videos this week, and so she's a little upset. So any positivity that you guys have out there, you know, shout it out so I can go tell her you guys are sending her positive vibes. That's all I would say. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Little man, it's just, you know, quality of life is starting to get real bad for him. It's unfortunate. I hate going through it. Dogs are something that my heart's always been super connected to. I freaking love dogs. So when there's fear, bye. Exactly. Shout out to Toby. Yeah. He's a good boy. He is. He used to be my couch buddy, but he's got eye infections, mouth infections that they've already treated, and they just come back within 2 weeks. It's unfortunate. Thank you so much, Loma. Well, I know it's not Loma, it's Bernie, isn't it? Losing a dog is always hard, even when their quality of life is at an end. Exactly. It's rough. It's unfortunate. But and it sucks because, you know, I have to watch baby girl, so she's possibly gonna have to do it all alone, and my heart goes out to her, seriously. It brings me pain just like talking about it. It sucks. Thanks that dude, Chris. Thanks, nice. And thank you guys for the nice words. If I don't catch your name, just know we're very thankful for you guys. You guys always send out those positive vibes. And Richard, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. You're gonna do this every Friday. Let her know that dogs are a heartbreaker, but maybe this could help with a last dog treat. And that's something I've been doing. We've been trying to give him a lot of good stuff, and I think she's gonna maybe have a little bit of time today to take him to go get, you know, some good food. So she'll love that, Richard. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Like, that will make her feel good to be like, okay, I can really treat Toby to a nice day and not feel bad about it, because my wife's such a good person. She feels bad. Like, I pay for everything, and she still sold little things all year long to make $500 throughout last year just to buy her own Christmas gifts for everyone. And that just speaks to the type of person she is, and I'm a lucky man. Thank you so much, Cheese Chaser. I got you. Oh, God, it's making me sad. Okay, let's get back into charts, or else I'm going to tear up or something. Dogs hit me, man. Dogs hit me. Thank you again, Richard. Everyone shouting out Richard. I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Richard. I just hope that this community continues to be helpful for all of you guys, including you, Richard. I think that's awesome. And just know that I'll tell her, and she'll really appreciate that. All-time highs. HQ like, hey, we're going to all-time highs. Well, this is a good signal that can tell us if we're going to all-time highs. So we really want to see how this moves. What would be the coolest thing? Okay, I'm going to show you this. Here would be the coolest opportunity. Here would, well, not opportunity at this point, actually. You're kind of late if that's it, but not necessarily if you're seeing this daily turn up. But if I'm already in plays, here's what I want to see if I want to see a squeeze. I want to see the most massive day up right now. I want to see this end the day like this, above this level. If that would happen and you close at the high, you are pretty set to gap above this. So I'll be interested to see if that happens. Just daily momentum taking over in a squeeze would be insanely cool. But we're always aware of the risk. I probably will not have a ton of contracts while that's happening. You know what I mean? There you go, Richard. Got a bunch of love going to Richard, bunch of love going to Toby, bunch of love going to my wife. We love that. You know, we love. Apple not doing anything but basing out. Yeah, Apple's going to be a complex one at the moment, but it's just, you know, if the market really wants to scream higher, Apple's going to have to participate, in my opinion. Well, and let's put it this way, because we kind of said a word that's not very good. Apple has to participate. Has to is never a good word, because this could all play out in a completely different way than what we're thinking, right? So technically, we want to see if that 30-minute gets a good move, and then we want to manage risk. We understand Apple had one of the worst bars ever yesterday. That was one of the worst days for Apple I've seen in a long ass time. And so we want to be aware that this hasn't curled up. No reversal signal in sight just yet. No reversal signal here, right? It's just forming. It's not there until it confirms. And then after that, you got to manage risk. You are seeing this at really deep levels. It's a risky one, but it could be a great opportunity. That's all I'm saying. Hey, Oni, thank you for saying hit the like button. Hey, thank you for saying that, Richard. Really appreciate it. But just know you're contributing to the community. Everyone in here chatting and things like that. You guys are contributing to this community. You're liking the videos. You're getting more people interested in learning about how to actually, put their money at the right timing. And I think that's a big thing as people try to do more and more option plays, but you could use it for investing. And so overall, it's just thank you guys overall, all of you guys. Thank you so much for contributing to this channel. And we just hope to remain helpful, right? We want to keep that the whole time. Let's keep a level head. Let's give ourselves that 1% chance that we could be wrong, and then we'll be just fine, right? Because we're always going to be talking about risk. We're always going to be talking about this was a fantastic move, so obviously I'm going to take some profit. Oh my goodness, what a good trade. Analyze UPST. Okay, all right. UPST, Upstart. Let's go. Upstart, once again, looking a lot like everything else and hitting a key area. Okay, key area here. So what does this tell me? I mean, still you have that here, you have this here. So what does the 30-minute say? If the 30-minute does this, you could be retesting the 5, and then you could be turning back up into positive territory. I mean, look at this that could form. That would be great. You are technically above the breakout, though. You are above 65, which is fantastic. So we'll see. Sometimes we make the right shoulder. That could have been. But if this never curls back down, I'd say if the 2-hour never curls back down, I'm really not worried. I'm really not that worried. I mean, these are great divergences. Daily chart curling up. So if that's a positive bar, you can always see some consolidative moves, some kind of curl down for a moment, curl back up. But the daily looks pretty good here. You're above the 200. You're seeing a move in negative territory. I mean, the last move that almost went negative and then just gapped up. Look at that, went to top Bollinger. So that's really, really good. Over in this area, you actually were negative. See how you consolidated? So as you were negative, just notice this back in the past. It still ended up good, but just don't think it has to be good like right away, right? It can be, but just notice this wasn't on the best confirmation bar either. I believe that was negative. Yeah, it's a negative confirmation bar. So you just notice that had to pull back on like a 2-hour swing up or a 4-hour, and then it was good again. But I'd be looking out for things like that. But this was a lot different behavior. Let me just do this. Than this, right? This is a lot bigger buying pressure, I would say, at this point. So if you're going to go through that pullback, it's probably right now, right? It's probably the time where I should be looking for, hey, where are we going? Are we going to the breakdown area? Hey, we're kind of caught here. I need to get above this. Okay. Can I see a pullback, or is daily momentum going to take over? And that's the game you're going to be playing for Upstart over the next few days. Almost to 11K already. Speaks for itself for how you're helping us and giving us this space. Hey, I think that's awesome, Paul, and I think that's fantastic. And the thing is, it's a never-ending game, I think. I think there's so many more retail people who could just benefit a lot from one thing from my channel, right? The good part, I think, about at least my channel in general, and what I think about a lot is, even if you think how I talk about the MACD doesn't help you the most, maybe the weekly ranges can help you out. Even if you're a day trader and you know I'm not a day trader, hey, maybe these daily expected moves for the SPY and the Qs we give out every single night can really help you out. Hey, maybe even Patreon helps you out with weekly expected moves if you like to trade individual stocks, right? There's multiple ways for us to help different kinds of strategies. And one thing that I think holds true for all those strategies is weekly expected moves are super important. That's one thing. Look at the, I would never look at Bitcoin on a 5-minute chart. I would absolutely never pull this up for Bitcoin. I would never do it. I would never do this. And then I pulled up the chart. But you guys know what I mean. Bitcoin, if you're going to trade a 5-minute chart, you're going to like probably get an ulcer. Okay? The important thing is you're above this high. The important thing is the daily has curled up and you're taking out this high. That is insane. That is insane. That's really saying this is a potential double bottom. All right? So if this is a potential double bottom, I'm going to take the two closings and I'm going to put it right back on top of there. And it's saying 112 is possible, 112.5K. You guys know that I'm looking for possibly an uptrend all the way to 128K. That would be my maximum, I think, for Bitcoin. But Bitcoin, I mean, most times Bitcoin can blow past my maximum. So what are we looking from Bitcoin for now if this would hold all day and we continue to see positivity? Well, we're probably looking for a new kind of trend here, right? We had the divergence, we see the selling, we have the divergence, we see the buying. Now we have that double bottom. We broke through, kind of confirming it. We break through here, we might get the full measured move up to about 112, right? And once you get up to maybe 113, 112, maybe you see that pull down and then curl back up. And that might not even curl down a daily chart, right? That might be a pretty good move. So you might just see a 2-hour pullback to do that. You might see more likely, I think you would see a 4-hour pullback to do that. You can see how retesting either this breakout here or the topside breakout in here, this little zone right here, would be a great retest to then project yourself higher. Chat's on fire. We like that. We like that. We like them in the chat's on fire, not our trades. Am I right? Okay. Coinbase. Coinbase, very, very good here. Thank you so much for pointing out Coinbase right now, because I hope you were watching. This looks like great opportunity. I want you to notice something very, very key here. And when setups do this, it really makes me happy. All right. So the first thing for Coin was there was a trade setup. There was a trade setup right here. But what do we notice about that trade setup? Well, it's on the MACD. What about the RSI? Uh-oh. We had a wrong move here. That's not good. That's not good. That's not a strong base for the RSI. But we see a great positive move. Notice that that move fails. What do? We go make another point. Now, what's the difference here? Now you have that divergence on the MACD. And let's blow up that RSI. And now you have it on the RSI at the same time. So what are you seeing? A little bit more positivity from a lower point. That's awesome. And you're going gapping above this high. So if Bitcoin can really remain positive here, this means the daily chart is probably curling up. Look at that, it curled up yesterday. Awesome. This is great. Gapped above, awesome. And then you just want to look at those shorter time frames, make sure everything's going well. But if I was holding this, if I took like a month out option with that little 2 hour divergence point somewhere in here, I'd be probably holding it for a few days at least, you know, as long as everything looks good and I don't have to manage a trade. When swing trading, there's a few ways to do it. Now, in our course, we do talk about weekly expected moves for swing trading, but there's a couple ways to do it, right? So if this would trend up for a little while, a lot of people just like to, hey, if this can trend with the 9, if that crosses through, I kind of take profit. But a lot of the time you can see little wicks and stuff like that. So you want to make sure it's closing. You can see another move higher. So what we like to do is point out weekly expected moves. I like weekly expected moves the most for taking profit. Because if coin is going to end here and I can calculate a weekly expected move and that weekly expected move is all the way up here and I see that just run really, really fast, where do I think it's going to pull back? Probably right here. And then we can curl down. And then if you curl back up, maybe there's another little swing opportunity, right? Because this could be some kind of ABC and then we want to maybe start watching out. If it builds good structure like this, though, I don't know if you'll be watching out. That's a pretty good amount of space there. So coin could see some upside. So yeah, as far as taking profit, we really like our moves. So a good example for that would be the SPY, right? So you were asking about setups. We had a setup down here. I took it. It goes up here. Now, I didn't take it on the SPY. I took it on the Qs and Amazon. But we head to a daily expected move on the first gap up. So I take some profit, especially as the weekly gets tagged, take some profit there. Okay, awesome. Leave some runners. Or look at Apple. That's kind of what I ended up doing there too. So as of right now, if I only had like a week left in my options and this looks really frothy up here and we've seen some drops, do I want to bet everything on a squeeze? No, I probably want to be outside of the daily, outside of the weekly, taking profit in some way. Depends on my option. If I'm just holding this with shares, I don't really care. If I'm holding this with shares, we can dip all the way down to here and then wick up and I still don't care. As long as at some point this ends up at like 611.03, then I know for the month, maybe that swing trade is done. Does that help, Embrew? But you're asking questions where we'd have to go really deep into like everything. And we have to be paying attention to what's going on in the market. I do appreciate the questions. I'm not talking badly. I think those are great questions. But just if you stick around for a while, you'll start to get the hang of it. You're losing on those SPY options at the current level. Would you cut your losses? They are great. Yeah, of course, Embrew. And keep asking questions, all right? Keep asking questions. It's perfectly fine. You might just hear me be like, hey, ask that again in a little bit, all right? Losing on those SPY options. Well, in this type of situation, I would really be wondering why you're losing on SPY options. And the reason I ask is just because you didn't really have the reversal signals in here. We always stated, hey, you can just move sideways in order to have that 5 catch up. You guys can go look at yesterday's live video. Hey, yeah, we could dip down. We also could just move sideways. And then we do move sideways. It's a little bit squeeze-like behavior. And then the 5 ends up catching up. We even drew that. And now the 5 is starting to catch up. So you could still see a flash move down. All right, we'll see. But I don't know enough about the options that someone's taking. And the other thing is, if you're down here, that means you might have shorted in a flag. Not a very good decision. So if that wasn't a good decision, do I want to hold on to a bad decision? Or do I want to see maybe if that confirms and then make a decision about some downside move that could come, right? Does this look like a short setup right now? If I was shorting and this move gapped up, does the short setup look good here? It has potential. It's just like you could be squeezing. So I'm just like, I don't know. The dollar is completely dropped off now from what we were talking about. So it was a pretty damn bullish move. So, and you have a SPY curling up on the daily. So, you know, hold it. What's one of my rules? Let's put it this way. What's one of my rules? Well, if this curls up on a daily MACD, I don't really care what the shorter time frames look like. I'm probably not going to short it. There's like a 99% chance that I'm not going to short something if, I'm going to say 99 because there's always 1%, right? But there's a 99% chance that I'm not shorting this today. At all. I'm not even thinking about it, really. Because of that. I'm still aware that there's like a 30-minute divergence, but that is saying daily momentum is taking over. You want to see the last squeeze? You want to see one of the last squeezes? We curled up right here as we were floating up, as we already saw positivity, 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 positivity. And then what did we do? Everyone probably tried to short. We gapped up. Blew past this, went to test this, backed off. So it's almost like we haven't seen this necessarily. We've seen big gaps already, but it's kind of like you're making that decision here and you see the risk now because that's daily momentum. Now, this could not behave like this. We could pull back for a couple of days. We could pull back for, this could be a trap in some way. We're just not seeing any of that behavior anymore. The dollar's wiped out. The 10-year's coming down. Sure, the PCC is high, but that just means people are getting bullish in a bullish move. Who's shorting what? Anyone else find it funny that GME can't be overbought for more than a day before it falls, but it can be oversold for an entire week? GME is... the GME AMC thing that happened this week is so fishy to me. It's insane. It's super fishy to me. If you didn't understand, if you want to know something even funnier, you guys want to know something funny about AMC and GME, I want you to look at this from back in the moment. Okay, I want you to see what went on here. AMC found a floor, ended up seeing positivity, right? Goes up, goes up, goes up. And then I want you to notice this right here. What are the dates here? 15th, 19th, 15th, 19th. Martin Luther King Day, right? Martin Luther King Day, whatever. And then we look now. We go, huh. So we saw a big spike down. We held at lower levels. Then we see this curl up. I believe the share offering's probably done. And then we curl up. And then we go into the 17th? Oh, weird. I just think that's interesting. I'm not reading into it too much. I just bought calls. I paid like, what, $250 for a bunch of calls in February. Like, that's all I did. Took like a month out option, like $250 worth. But that's just a risk to reward play. There's no technicals that told me to do that. I'm just like, hey, I made a ton of money on the market this week. I have some extra cash. Let me buy some calls on AMC just in case this is going to happen at the exact same time. And then it gaps up, holds a shelf, and then maybe you see a big rip. That's kind of what I'm looking at here, but that would just be strictly based on, and I think maybe there are no technicals that say that is close to even happening. What you're looking for from GME is actually a good signal here, and you could get one, right? You could get one because this is behaving totally differently. You have reversal signals up here. So this dip down right now, the daily scale, I want that to turn up, right? I want that to turn up. That's why I really thought the entire market would squeeze like together. Whoa, Apple. There we go, Apple. Let's get it going. So yeah, I don't want to linger on that too long. I want to wait for good signals to bet big money or to purchase more. For AMC, I was looking for that to dip a little bit lower for me to purchase. I was looking for gap fill to purchase actual stock with a larger amount of money. So I was like, oh, well, we dipped down to lower levels. We have a timing thing where, hey, I don't know, maybe it happens at the same time. Maybe we see gap up next week and we see more the next week after that. So I'm just going to throw a little bit of money at it. Oh, yeah, I understand. Oh, I understand exactly what I'm doing, martial law. Oh, trust me, I understand. I am not someone who's going to sit there and be like, oh, the business is fantastic for AMC. I'm interested to see what GME does. That's kind of the unknown, right? That could be good, that could be bad. Most likely good, as it's a bunch of cash on hand. But with AMC, I'm just like, their business, their numbers don't look good as of right now. They are getting better, but they're still in debt. So that one is just a squeeze play for me. I'm pretty much banking on a squeeze there for that one. And usually I wait till signals are good, but just the timing of it, looking into it. I could check on MSTR real quick. I know some people do like MSTR. I'm not a fan. But it doesn't mean I can't trade the thing, maybe, right? So for MSTR, the big thing is, hey, did Bitcoin do good? Okay, then MSTR is going to do good. I just want you guys to quickly understand something, okay? I want you to understand something. We're going to look at this high, and we're going to look at the low, and then we're going to look at Bitcoin high, and we're going to look at the low. Okay, so here's what you need to understand about the risk of MSTR. If Bitcoin goes bad, if it goes well, you can see positivity. That is a 47, almost 50% drop in a little over a month. Now, people are saying this is like better than buying Bitcoin. It will move up dramatically if Bitcoin goes up, but it will move way down if Bitcoin goes down. Okay? So now let's look at that. All right, the peak was what? November 21st. So let's look over here. Okay, December 18th. Let's take the high point of Bitcoin, or we can even take November 21st, right? We can even take November 21st if we want. November, what was it, 21st? November 21st. How much did Bitcoin drop over the next 40 days, say? Let's take this wick then, since it's close. 8.65%. I'm just saying, and all I'm getting at with that is just to display to you the risk. So you have to be aware of sell signals. Now, this is really good. This is really good. I'm not going to lie. This is a good look for the stock. As long as everything holds fine, we're looking good. This little divergence here is all I'm aware of. But as of right now, you broke through this level. You made the right shoulder that could have been, and now you're breaking through. Now, you could see some kind of retest of that area at some point, but the 2 hours pointing up, a little bit overbought, so be looking maybe for 30-minute pullbacks. But if this thing's going to squeeze and daily momentum takes over, looks good to me. You have like a head and shoulders, made the right shoulder that could have been, looks pretty decent. But we were very aware that this was flagging to drop to lower levels. You see reversal signals start to pop up flat on the RSI, but not really there too well for the MACD. And then it ends up curling back up in a positive territory, and it looks good. I just wanted to display to you the risk if Bitcoin goes down. So if I was trading MSTR and I see Bitcoin give a big divergence and start to curl down, I'll probably be looking at MSTR and being like, I don't know if I want to hold that thing too much longer. That's all I'm saying. Oh, Sailor diluted twice to buy Bitcoin. Well, that exposes the risk even more. This is a company that is 90% Bitcoin, 10% cyber, whatever. So you just have to be aware of that. But it doesn't mean signals are bad here. I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're bad. I just think that that guy lost money in the dot-com bubble, and it's ironic that he's coming back when Bitcoin is hitting 100K. We're really seeing him start to talk down in here, and then we see some euphoria. Good trade for them, by the way. Not saying that's bad. I believe they were accumulating probably within here at some point, if they were. If they're accumulating in here, I'm a little worried about it. Yeah, I mean, if the company is mostly investing in Bitcoin and Bitcoin sees an 8% drop from here and they go down 50% to buy more over 100K, anywhere over 100K, I think you're like, you know, the times to get in maybe are here for that little swing up, but we're still talking about these things, right? We're still talking about the fact that this is high up, right? Like, if you're really buying this, it was the breakout here. see that run, consolidate, maybe see another run, then you're going, okay, this is kind of like Palantir again. We're starting to go up a lot. But yeah, Bitcoin's kind of its own beast though. So I don't try to really guess what's going to happen with it. I never short it, right? Back in the day, it had a very easy short. It's still not shorting that. Like this was so good on weekly charts. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Justin. I just don't trust it. Something's fishy. I just want to let you know. Look at the next earnings. Pay attention to the next MSTR earnings. And I'm not saying that's bad, by the way. The daily is curled up. You're in an uptrend now, right? You're curling up. That's great. That's great. Even with a 50% pullback, a lot of people would hate that. And then you're going contrarian. Like, I might like that. Bitcoin looks pretty good here. And if Bitcoin booms, MSTR might boom even harder. But that is a two-way street. If Bitcoin doesn't boom, if Bitcoin would turn down dramatically by more than, say, 8% or something like that, you're probably going to see dramatic downside, more so than dramatic downside just to buy more Bitcoin. You're probably going to see more than that, which is kind of scary. I don't trust you, Phyllis. Talk about risky, then you're talking about Bitcoin. Dude, MSTR is way riskier than Bitcoin even. I'm just saying. You're looking at two very risky assets. Yes, they move very sporadically, but I'm just saying the risk of MSTR. I'm not hating on it. I'm saying it looks good right now. But I'm just telling you the risk. If you don't like that, hey, too bad. I'm an honest guy. If you want someone who will fluff you up, I don't know, go look at a GME streamer or something. Yeah, and Jeff, and it is speculation. Like it is. That is all considering that Bitcoin goes bad. What if he's right? What if he's right, Jeff? You know what I mean? Let's throw that out there. I'll be my own contradiction. What if he's totally right and this thing goes to 250K in the next 5 years and he's just holding on to it and it looks good? MSTR is going to grow a lot. But I'm not going to be the guy that tells you, I hate to talk badly about that. I really don't, because GME people, it's just they're the ones that do this all the time. Tomorrow's the day, tomorrow's the day, tomorrow's the day, tomorrow's the day, tomorrow's the day. You're going to go back on a GME guy and look back a year ago and tomorrow's the day. I'm not that guy. I'm going to tell you both sides. That's it. Love you, Jeff. Have a good day. MSTR is a leverage play, so in theory, they would decay effect over time. When moon? It's tomorrow. Can you? It's always tomorrow. DJT. Let's look at that for a minute. See, there are risks here as well. See if we can break through. It was this. It's every Monday, but that's not the worst thing to pay attention to. I will say that that's not the worst thing to pay attention. It's like if the move does happen, it will probably happen on a Monday or Tuesday. I'm blatantly doing exactly what they probably do all the time. I'm just buying AMC because the move happened last week or last year. Sorry, the big move happened back in the day, years ago, on this type of week. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just do it. But DJT, a little bit worried about this, wondering why we're kind of running into trouble here. I think you're kind of at a chance here where you could see this pull down. I'd just be looking if we get a closure below here, below the 5, closure below here, you might be getting some retest of the breakout. Any idea why Meta is dropping? Meta and Nvidia both dropped as they hit the weekly expected moves. We know that. Back in, which day was it? It was these days. So they're going to take some time here. You've seen some rip around kind of moves. Overall, though, Meta tanking here. Ooh, wait, isn't there, someone maybe could look this up real quick. Isn't there some kind of TikTok thing going on tomorrow? I think Meta might move to TikTok. I don't know the direction. I'm just looking at the signals going, a little bit bad there. Not necessarily divergence, but just kind of bad not to be able to confirm the next move and be able to hold that up. So for this though, we can just look at the MACD, we can look at the RSI, and we can go, okay, that's down by the center line. That's down by the center line. Maybe we got too excited, right? Options market, people might have took a bunch of profit. I don't know, to be totally honest. But if that 30-minute curls up, where is it? Positive territory. The main thing is break through here, probably go test here, break through that. Hey, you got a new all-time high. The big thing is the daily chart curling up for this as well. If you really look at it too, you're kind of going, okay, this looks in some way. Let me draw lines, right? Let me draw some lines. There you go. You're like this. You got this. Okay, you could consolidate longer. But if that daily can confirm up, you got a chance to break out. Breaks out, upside move. Breaks down, downside move. That's what you would most likely be looking at here. And once again, we're stuck in this zone. We just keep gravitating in between these two white lines. Ticket staying open until Trump administration decides. Oh, okay. I thought for some reason upheld ban that takes place on the 19th. Okay, for some reason I thought there was something tomorrow. So yeah, I'd be looking at this 30-minute, but you know, it's a 30-minute chart. That could easily just turn up, turn right back down with some kind of divergence. So just always got to be thinking about risk. Yeah, GME still negative, AMC positive there. Hoping Trump says he'll roll back Biden's chip ban on day one. That would be, holy crap, man. Oh man, that would be kind of insane. Red note is the thing. I've heard about this red note. I haven't heard enough. I haven't read enough. I don't know enough about it. I've just heard the name a couple times. Justin, if you know about it, give me a little summary. SPY best level for a put when you're in a downtrend and you see confirmation of the downtrend. Best levels for put, probably. Well, I guess you got a reaction there. Best levels for put, probably when this broke. Best levels for put, weekly expected move on the first move when you're trying to make 2-hour divergences pretty deep. You see that curl down, put down. Because it has gaps, so you're going to get a late position. But if you had the weekly expected move at this point, we had a weekly expected move right here, curls down, look at that, continuation of the negative trend, little bounce up, curls back down, make money. I didn't do that. I wanted to find a little bit. I think we're still going to be in a positive trend on the daily, so I was taking these. And now you've done this so many times that you're at risk of a squeeze. You have people who are very bearish a month out still. I'll pull up those options actually. So a put would be if I see a 30-minute divergence. You kind of see one right now, but is it there or is it forming? That's the difference. Same company as is red note like I saw like Chinese words all over it. Is it like just straight up a Chinese stock? Or not a stock, sorry. It's straight up like just TikTok was like, hey, it's kind of owned by the Chinese. Red Note's just like, yeah, this is a Chinese app. Is Mara hitting resistance? Yeah, we've been shouting out Mara a lot this week. And look at that thing run, man. Look at that thing run. It is great. We said the structure looks good. We're holding up above the 5. We have 2-hour divergence at the low, saying the daily chart can curl up. Is it running into resistance? Yeah, it's potentially running into that resistance right now. All right, this is where you could make some more structure, right? Maybe cup, maybe handle, you know, whatever you want to do. But the ultimate resistance is going to be right here. The beginning of our zone, 2251. You can break through that. I mean, your daily just curled up, so most likely you're going to see a few days of positivity. Doesn't mean you can't see little pullback days. Doesn't mean the risk isn't there that it can't drop again, right? The 2-hour chart just crosses in the next day or two, and you're heading back in the downward direction, maybe for a pullback to test 1873. But yeah, you have resistance at this level. If you can break through that, though, this is a very bullish move. Which translates to Little Red Book. As in Mao's Little Red Book. Oh God, I'm not downloading anything like that. I don't even have TikTok, so yeah, no thank you. Thoughts about next week really depends on if we curl up on this MACD and how people react to the inauguration. So one thing I want to do actually, as we're looking at stuff, is I really want to look at if people changed at all for the February options, because we saw huge put levels. So today that put level continued 2.18. Let's see, it was the 24th, 2.5389. So puts are still there. And then, oh my gosh, do we have another? Then the 31st, 4.16. A lot of bearishness for the end of the month. So this can sway like. So you have 2 weeks till these options expire, and you're at 4.1679. So you have an extreme amount of bearishness for the end of the month. Total open interest, 1.9 mil. Going into February, it's small open interest, right? The first week of February, that Friday. I believe it's that Friday. Let me just double check. Yep, okay, that Friday, 7.1165. The amount of bearish bets we have going into February is pretty massive. So if that starts to go wrong for them, we could see a squeeze. That's all I'm getting at here. That's why I was getting in at the lows. Because now I'm very comfortable. If I have to manage risk, I'm pretty comfortable. If I can hold on to some runners, which is what I'm doing, hey, I can look good there. And then I can look, if I'm late, maybe I look at something like Apple. Right, that 2-hour confirmation is really what I want to see. 30-minute is where I might dabble, right? That would be small position. And then if we start to see a squeeze or something, this thing just starts to squeeze up, we take out this high. I'm pretty excited to get up into these areas, but I got to watch out for 241. Good stuff. Is that some bearishness or what? MSTR, I can't really do... You know, day trading, there's a lot of analysis that technically goes into day trading. It's probably not the most complicated. I wonder if we can find one for a second, but yeah, no retest. Your day trade was actually here. So you see you break out, you drop down, and then you see that support. That's where a day trader will like to get in at these areas, see a run up, sell at the end of the day. Look at that. All right. And then a day trader's looking for the next thing. They're looking for, okay, we're gapping up. Okay, what am I looking for? Maybe the opportunity. Okay, we drop down, we retest the gap up area. Okay, let me make a decision there with this positivity. Then we head in the upward direction, sell at the end of the day. Right? So if I was a day trader, this would be a tough time. I'd maybe have to wait for a breakout area to get tested, wait for this area to get tested, and then see something and go up. Right, and they're very quick plays. So I'm not someone who shorts bullish trends very often. I really don't like to short bullish trends too often unless I'm seeing like great signals, right, really close to the center line. And then I'm managing the crap out of those. But these areas here are what I like to do as potential day trades when I was really day trading. But I'm a position guy now. I don't know what you're talking about, Toronto. You got to put a ticker on it, or else I'm not going to know. We go through too many things. Adobe again? You want to look at Adobe? Somebody was asking about this for the last few days, so we can look at it. Adobe is one where that 30-minute pullback would be nice. Now, where would you test? Well, you can see the little box. You can see the little box right in this area, right? The breakout area right there. So that'd be a great level to retest. What else is around that area? The 5 coming up. So wouldn't that be nice? I don't see massive reversal. You do have them, so you want to be aware that that can not, you know, happen. This can just fall through. But that's where more so your 2 hours is going to be confirming down. Your 2 hours close to the center line. Pretty bullish move. Still way above the 5 at this moment. So look for the test of the 5. If it remains good, if you see some good support there, good things can happen. Beautiful bull flag on Amazon. Yeah, running into problems right away, though. Right? Running into some problems. Not really seeing the most positivity. Some positivity out the gate, though. 1.44%. Pretty damn good. Curling up. Good thing as well, right? Still a positive bar. We'll see what happens there, right? Want a positive bar from the previous one, at least. Looks good. 2 hour, curled up, with divergence. Fantastic look there. Is the daily confirming up? Not yet. Might have some more time there, which means we can see little 30-minute pullbacks. We'll see. Right now, as of this moment, you're testing the top side of like a breakout area. Right? This was where you gapped up, right? Gapped up here. So this whole area in here is what I'd be looking for support. 5 days in there. If we lose that, always at risk of doing more, right? It's a good look though. Apple trying to do it. I really want that 5 taken back though before I turn around and start doing some stuff. Yeah, I don't really see choppiness. I see more for like the Qs. I mean, we can go look at NDX, but we have levels for the Qs. It will be a little different, right? But all I'm seeing is, hey, still the great structure, the higher low, big gap up, big gaps up, goes to a, you know, outside or whatever of a daily expected move. We come back into it. Okay, what's next? Well, test of the 5. If that proves positivity, then we're going to end up in the upward direction. Why did this happen? Well, it's because the pre-market took over. And then we ended up moving to the upside. Now we're at a weekly expected move. So you would expect pullback unless we're starting to confirm up on some big time frames here. This is where we're testing this. We're testing this little line coming down. If we can break through this high, I'm pretty happy. This high, Qs might end up at all-time highs. IWM, pretty good. I do have the correct weekly expected moves up, I believe, at this moment. Yeah, this was Monday, so yeah. These are the correct levels, I believe. And the daily's curled up. Hey, that's great. What are you doing? This is why also looking at multiple things can really help you, okay? Because overall, this was just a great move. Right here is what I'm talking about. You see this, and you see the shoulder that could have been made, but we see a big gap up. You retest that breakout, and you curl up again, and you make a little head and shoulders in here as well, and then you gap up again. This is fantastic, and you're at a weekly expected move. Now you have some divergence forming. You want to be aware pullbacks can come. All right, we're aware pullbacks can come. We do not have to squeeze. You're at a key level. If you want to gear up before you break through, that's awesome. That's fantastic. You can kind of see across, just pull that across, say this is the main level we need to break through. Okay, what is this? Left, head, maybe a right shoulder forms, right? Would be a little slanted like this maybe, but we'll see what happens. SPY broke 598. Watch out at 600. I think 600 is the main level to watch for the time being. As far as Rivian goes, Rivian, just a simple curl up of a 2 hour, and we're testing 1534, right? We're testing 1534. Just be aware of the line in the sand, right? Line in the sand. Then you have left potential, or maybe it's a small left, but I'd probably say this at this point, head, watch out for that right shoulder, and this is what you'd watch out for. If that 2 hour crosses, what looks like is going to happen? Well, if that 2 hour would cross like this, and you don't hold up here, you might break that retest and break down further. All right, we see head and shoulders. It's not necessarily in the direction of the trend, but I'd be aware of it. And then for the most part, daily has divergence, so okay, so once you have daily divergence and you're starting to see, or I guess it's in here, right? Maybe it's something like this. Left head, right shoulder. Once you start seeing that, if this daily doesn't confirm up, you really want to be aware of that 2 hours crossing. Because you could just end up at the 200, but if you look how big this is right now, I'm just going to take a sketchy little measured move, not a full measured move. We'll put it on the end here since it's a little slanted. You could end up back down in this liquidity really, really fast. Really, really fast. So 1534, we picked a good level. That's great. You're just retesting these levels up here. But yeah, I'd just be watching out if that would happen. If the daily curls up, though, I'd say we're probably going to break through this. Qs, you're just running into a weekly expected move. So the main thing you should be watching is how do the Qs react if SPY gets to 600? Because 600 is your big level. I'm going to double check that right now, but I believe 600 is the huge call wall at 600. So if we're going to back off, it's going to be probably 600. What's at 600? Ooh, this high right here is pretty much just below 600, just barely. So 600 is where profit taking can definitely happen. If you get above 600, ooh, that's pretty crazy. And then 590 still key level, 600 key level for Monday, Tuesday 600. Pretty bullish, right? Pretty bullish trades until the end of the week. So a lot of the Friday expirations are bearish. So I wonder if we pull down to 590 by next Friday. Isn't that the big, let's see, 84, 843K open interest. Oh, today is much bigger. Today's a big day. And there's a lot of puts, so. Yeah, today's 4.9 million open interest total compared to next week. Next week is 843,000. So not a lot there yet. We'll see if that changes, but. How long have I been doing the live streams? What has it been? About a little bit less than a year? A little bit less than a year for the live streams, I believe. I think. We went live every once in a while, but. Hey, Andy, thank you so much for subscribing. Appreciate you being here today, bud. How can the SPY and the dollar go up at the same time? Happens all the time. It is a rigged behavior that we pay attention to. So now you are seeing that. You're seeing extreme calls. It's kind of going, there is risk, right? We're still holding this divergence for volatility. Means to me, I could probably, take a hedge here, right? Dave earlier talking about a hedge. It's like, up towards 600s where you could see some potential selling come in. That is a call wall. You have the dollar going up, all the markets going up, and you have the PCC extremely high, so they might want to rebalance that at some point. We might see this retest some things down here. We might see it go all the way back down to the 5. You might see it fill both these gaps next week, right? Anything can happen. We're just aware of the risk now. The risk is this is some form of divergence that's going to cause a pullback at this point. And then if that pullback ended up going negative, that's when we talk very seriously about it. I'm just looking at Max Payne to find levels in the morning. If you're talking about the call wall. Do you ever get into a trade on stream? Yeah. Yeah. I'm not someone who's trying to show off all of my trades. I'm talking about my trades, but nope, not trying to show off my trades. I am a husband and a dad. I'm not going to let people know. I'm not going to let people see my money. I think that's silly to do on the internet. I don't want people making decisions also based on what I'm doing, because I might do things totally different than you, and I'm not streaming 100% of the time, So it's like, I took profits in here. But did anyone know that I took profits in here? Well, if you've been a part of this channel for a long time, you saw that purple line get tagged. You're probably like, yeah, you probably took profits here. Take my money and make me more money. Hey, we'll talk. Remember, who's telling me to become a trillionaire so I can make like a what was I going to do? I was going to make the Luke ETF. L-U-K-E ETF. No. Thing is, if you've traded for a long time, once you start to add other people's money in, it can get more stressful. It's my money, so I know my risk all the time. Once you trade other people's money, you have to be even safer. +1 for that ETF. What companies do you like for long-term holds? It depends on what GME does, but I don't hate that one, actually. Like, I wouldn't say AMC just yet. We gotta see better production from them, but I think GME depends a lot on what they do from now forward, and you just don't have that info. A lot of, I've been looking a lot at like the RGTIs that have thrown up recently. I've been looking a lot at even IonQ with that big dip down. I've been looking a lot at these for long term. So quantum computing, I am looking into long term. But I don't know if that moment's now. I don't think they'll be safe if something bad happens in 2025 because we do have some recession indicators flashing red. Appreciate you. I am a Patreon member and I purchased your course. I must say it's definitely developing me into a better trader. Salute to you. Hey, thank you for saying that, Jerome. And just know the information's there, but it's how you take the information and utilize it. So I'm going to give a congratulations to you right back and just say, hey, you're seeing things develop because you're probably putting yourself in a better mindset and you're willing to learn, right? A lot of the battle is being more coachable and things like that, right? Actually taking in the info, taking in why I don't like to day trade, taking in info about the weekly expected moves, taking in info of, not reading into maybe mainstream media as much, but just reading into what do you think based on mainstream media told you, hey, yeah, fear the yields, fear the yields. I mean, were they saying that here? Were they saying that here? Or were they saying that here? They're saying that here, and right as it goes up, we start to say, hey, it really looks like, at any point, even this point right here, we were like, these yields could start to back off. These yields could start to back off. These yields could start to back off. Okay, now we're probably going to squeeze. We have a lot of things going on. So it's just, once you take in a lot of that info, it starts to unlock you, and that's probably what you're experiencing. I mean, I think every trader who starts out, super green, like as in new, and now you see the yields are getting a reaction, right? So how are you going to react? But a lot of this is just, you'll probably reach a moment when you're trading, and once you start to get a little bit better, you're probably going to reach a moment where it's almost like the lights click on and things just make more sense. And you're always thinking about risk, and you're realizing, hey, the market is never a guarantee. There was no guarantee that you were going to gap up here. There was no guarantee, but you weighed the risk and you weighed the potential reward. And that's the big thing. The risk, the reward. Maybe you're a tight stop type person. You go risk, reward, right? Once you start to think like that, it really unlocks you. And trading can become real chill if you just stop day trading. That's awesome, Embrew, and I'm glad that you're here asking questions. That's awesome, Ember. And I love the last part. I learned what I'm better at. You guys are not going to be all the same. You guys are not going to be able to trade. A lot of people aren't going to be able to trade exactly like me. We're just different people. We think a little bit differently. So find something that works for you. And that's what I really like about weekly expected moves and still looking at indicators and, blowing up the time frame sometimes and showing that off, because there are a million different ways to do this. I think you could pull back. Is your core 3 weeks out, 7 weeks out, like a swing trader? It depends, but a lot of the time we're looking I would say 2 to 8 weeks out. So yes, it can be utilized for swing trading. It will be utilized. You can utilize it for swing trading. This is kind of a sketchy, I would say this is a scarier moment with the weekly expected move for a swing trader. Something that I really like for swing trading is if we hit a downside move and then we see that base and then the MACD curls up in the middle of your weekly expected moves, because then it's a very easy target, right? So like if you curl down really fast at the beginning of the week, and then you curl back up and you see that daily cross on say a Wednesday or something like that, maybe you experience a pullback and then you go like this into Friday, you can just target next week's weekly expected move and it works out a lot of the time. It's very nice. But that's where you'd have to get the full technical analysis course to really learn that, because you need that extra knowledge down there. When I said that Ty Lopez guy, knowledge. But can we flush from here? So one thing that I would like people to start to think in their brain more often, right? Since this channel is about learning and learning how to think really as a trader, is not can we turn down from here? It's what are the risks? What are the risks of turning down here? And that does a better job of telling me reasons for something, reasons to hold on to something, or reasons to get rid of something. So let's weigh this, right? What were the risks of falling here? Well, they were there, right? The 30-minute could have crossed down. We had a big data drop the next day. But what was the reward from this area on a 30-minute chart? Well, the reward is maybe this, maybe a daily expected move. We ended up doing that, right? We ended up doing all that. That's great. So we ended up being correct. All right, but that made sense. Risk, reward, awesome. That's a better question because can this fall from here? Yes. 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 It's what's the risk is the better question. What are the reasons that we could fall from here? And is that enough to build an argument for me, who's maybe in profit, to take profit as I am in at lower levels? Because I'm still playing my risk to reward here. Well, the risk is this high can hold as resistance. The risk is we have a put wall at 600. The risk is that's a whole number. The risk is you are going way up and options on a Friday can shoot you down. Right? There's a lot of risk here. You're outside of a weekly expected move. That's another one, right? So if I have shorter dated options, I'm really weighing those risks right now. But notice I'm not necessarily weighing those risks as much for myself right now because I've already made money in this move. I've already taken some profit, leaving runners. And then I'm looking at things like Apple, which, oh, it's starting to, I mean, little breakout is come up, retest. See, this is what I'm gonna think about. This is what I'm still gonna think about. But look at this, it's deep, it's deeper. That's why I'm looking at it, right? It could be potential opportunity. So can there be a drop? Always. Can there be an up move? Always. What you're trying to do is find out which way that is looking like it's going with the big money players and then catch that move with momentum. I started looking for places not to trade, and it made finding where to trade easier. Exactly. It's like if I'm getting in calls now, that could end up working out, right? Because stock can go up. But the risk is that we're going to see resistance here. The risk is we might fill this gap. The risk is we might retest 5. The risk is we might fill this gap. There's a lot of risk to taking a position here. Holding on to a position from here, totally different subject to talk about. Hold Apple long till I can't tell you what to do, but it just depends on expiration and things like that, guys. You got to start to take into consideration your expirations, and maybe once you get beat up too much on those 0 DTE stuff, you'll start to come back here and be like, all right, let me just look at extending my options a week. Some people have that problem. Like literally that problem could probably solve a lot of people who are seeing green initially and then red after the trade is all said and done. Like a lot of that could probably be solved by, what if I just take a week long or a 2-week out option instead and just use that money to still make good money. They still make good money, the 2-week options. They still make great money. That's why I do them. But, you know, but you're going to pay for a little bit more time. It means you won't get as many contracts. What is that overall? Hey, that's not trying to get rich quick, but trying to get rich the fast way. Getting rich quick, this doesn't work a lot of the time. The quickest way to make money in the market, the slow way. So then you can go, oh, okay, hey, well, Apple didn't make the move today, so that 0 DTE option wouldn't have made it. Then it makes the move up the next week, and you go, damn, I would have made money. A 5-point move from Apple, I guarantee you every single option in the 2-week option chain is going to be worth almost double. That's happened to me a couple times. It's happened to me too, Logan. Like, that's why I say these things. Like, you guys think, oh, this guy just knows everything. No, I know everything because I've lost plenty of times in the market. I've lost so many times. We talked about the Q's trade, or the time I was sleeping. right? This trade, that was the last like loss that I was like shit, and I was like, damn, this sucks. But it's still holding the divergence point. Maybe I'll get lucky, so I'm gonna hold on to that for a second. I got lucky, I got back in. If I didn't see these wicks, I wouldn't have been thinking that at all. Option chain to find targets. I'm actually not like that. I don't really, I do look at the pricing of things, but for the most part, I'm doing this. This is a great trade setup. Everyone is bearish down at these levels. I'm going to target daily expected move and weekly expected move because we are early on in the week on Tuesday. Right? Start to think more in that standpoint. And if this would have taken till Friday to base out and we saw a move like this, I could look at next week's weekly expected move or next Monday's daily expected move, right? And what do I do as far as that goes? A lot of the time I like to take that option, or maybe an option a little bit closer to the money. We'll see. Depends on the move. So say Apple. Apple right now, if I buy an option for Apple, if I don't want to risk a bunch of money and I think there will be a bunch of upside move, I could take out of the money. If I think it's risky and we could just see this and fall down, I could take closer to the money. For me, I bought myself an extra month, so I targeted 250. 250. Now, there's another reason I took around 250, and that's because it's kind of the middle of the monthly expected moves. Where was the month beginning? I don't want to draw this out like horribly. The month began right there, right here. So your monthly expected move for Apple, just so you're aware, is somewhere up here. So I'm targeting the middle. I'm saying we might gravitate back towards the middle of that move by mid-February. That's my bet, right? Technically, just a bet. I'm just waiting till things are set up where it looks highly probable. And to me, it looks highly probable. I like the hourly chart the best, though. I think I'll be looking at this for the most part. So that's the one that I'm targeting. I'm going to target 250. And look at this. And the other reason I'm targeting 250, look at the resistance zone, right? This is the breakdown that really started it, and then it rejected that level as well. Now, this doesn't mean I won't sell nothing throughout the move up, right? I like to sell on the way up. If I get a weekly expected move that's only like right here and I see an up move like that, I'm probably selling it. So that's actually a good question, though. Like, how do you pick which target? It's kind of like, how much money do I want to risk? How much time do I want to have? How good is the setup? And those are the decisions I make, right? If I was thinking, hey, this is going to go up for 6 months, I probably wouldn't be taking up here, right? I probably would be buying like 2 contracts at like 236.36 or even at the money, right? And then just saying, hey, that's going to keep a positive trend for 6 months. I want to be in the money a lot longer if I'm going to do a way longer out option. That's just something that I like. I don't know if that's the correct thing to do, honestly. It's just something that's worked for me when I take very long out options. I do that with like daily and weekly divergences. I got to pull up my stream. I can't see your guys' chat. It went away. So that's great. We love that for us. Honda, thank you for the $4.99. Could you look at the gap fill trade setup on IonQ? Yeah, we can look at that real quick. Give me a moment here to fix this. Shoot, I need this and then this. All right, we're looking good. You just missing the GME crater? I didn't miss this at all, guys. Like we pointed this out so many times. I just can't. Oh, I just can't. And I remember, like, on these days, I did look at some YouTubers because I like to look at them. I think it's fun to see what these people who don't know a lot, like, are saying. And they all, while this was confirming, very good confirmation, were saying the moment's tomorrow. And the moment could have been tomorrow from this point if you curled up on the 2 hour, but that's just confirming down. That is just terrible. That's really bad. It's really significant too. And then you have daily divergence behind it. So this is genuinely, you guys probably heard me a couple days ago just briefly say, like, God, I kind of want to short GME. Depends, Logan. Sometime I wouldn't bank on that happening. Most of the time, you just want the stock to go up. But you can be in moments in time where, say, you know, AMC, it's dropping down. But if people bought, like, say, the 4 option with an extreme amount, like an extreme amount of buying of the 4, it can go up a little bit in value. You just more so want to be like this. This is the better way to think about it as far as call options and things like that go. Here, people are very bearish. Calls are probably very, very cheap. And then they're going to not only gain value because they're going, you know, above those strike prices, but they're also going to gain value because more people will demand that, right? It's kind of like a supply and demand argument. All right, let's go look at IonQ for Onda real quick. Thank you so much for the $4.99. Well, we're taking back 40.50. That's a good thing. So you're all ready, but you're right. You're still right at that breakdown area. So I'd be a little concerned if an hourly chart curled down. Pretty positive move though, and you're still above the 5. So I'd more so be leaning towards just a test of that to see what happens. But you have to realize, like, if this thing starts to go negative, you can go fill this gap, right? We can get an extreme higher low. But if the daily chart can curl up, I'm pretty happy with it. If we can hold that 40.50 and we just see bullishness come in, I'm pretty happy with it. We just have to understand that something really bad just happened for IonQ. So it might want to go down to reach for some buyers again and then see that next move up, which means, hey, we could go target somewhere like this. Right, we see the gap support there. We see a high as resistance. Maybe we look across and we see what? A breakout area. Okay, breakout area, awesome. We saw that level as support in the past. Okay, so that's probably an important level. So I think if you go down from here, you're probably looking at, let's move it up a tiny bit. You're probably looking right there. If you can hold up there, break through there, you look pretty good. But we're aware that 2157 could be where that's heading over time. So just be aware of weakness. I think that's the best thing to look for there. I'd really like if the daily could confirm up here, but just so much divergence, you have to be open to this failing. Yeah, 2 hour is still really close to that. 2 hour crosses, you could break through here. This 2 hour crosses, you could break this pretty quickly. You're kind of hoping that slow curls down, curls up if that does curl. Long GME, hey Sid, that's kind of my assessment yesterday of why I took AMC yesterday. But yeah, there's just a lot that goes into it, and the only way, I'm just more touching on Logan. The only way to get better, unfortunately, is to usually practice, because you're going to be on your own, right? I know you're with a community right now. That's fantastic. You can bounce stuff off of the community. You can bounce stuff off of me. That's great. But I'm not streaming 100% of the time. So you really might have to go through some of those struggles yourself to realize where you make mistakes, where you make good things happen. And that's why if you're starting out with options, if you're asking all these questions like you are, I'm just going to say this. You don't have to risk a ton of money. You don't. We go over that in the course too, right? You don't have to risk tons of money, especially at the beginning stages. There will always be another trade setup. Try to get the word FOMO nowhere near you, okay? There will always be a different setup every single day. It's just you probably don't want to overtrade and things like that, right? I like a good trade. Then I like to wait for something to set up on stuff I like to look at. If you're new, you might not even know what you like to look at just yet. Rule of thumb is, if you have to ask, it's a good idea to sell eNinja. What did eNinja say? And Onda, I hope that was helpful. Until Tuesday? Depends on if your expiration is Tuesday. That's just something genuine there. It's like, if you're asking for Tuesday because your expirations are Tuesday, you have to be weighing risk to reward and all those type of things. That is where the individual side of the trade can come. I can only teach, right? That's all I can really do. I'm not a financial, I'm not. I'm just someone who's trying to teach you about technical analysis and how you can utilize it. And then we try to prove that over time. And that's why the channel is growing, and that's fantastic. As long as we remain helpful, we're still here. So you have to be weighing those things. And if you have longer out options, you're probably more comfortable maybe leaving runners. Like me, I have longer out options, so I'm comfortable leaving runners for things like Amazon. I'm comfortable with it. Why? Because I know, because I did the smart thing and I bought myself more time. If this would, say the 2 hour curls down, yeah, I might take a loss, but isn't losing like 20% like what, 5 times better than losing 100%? That's it. I'm just saying this is why we're trying to teach people here, not here. We're trying to more so teach people here because then you have a lot easier time if you need to manage risk. You might still be making profit. That's the big deal, right? Amazon, look at Amazon. Let's say Amazon. Amazon, say yesterday, it curled down. My options lost value, right? But I'm comfortable because I bought maybe down in here, right? Yeah, just interesting stuff. I started to scale into this move at the lows, right? Because we started to see this. We came down again. We saw that. So I was already in the move here. Here's just where I kind of hold the damn thing and see if it goes up. And then I maybe have a stop like at 213.52. Because that's where you could flush through. Or I wait to see how it looks by the end of the day and put my stop right at the end, just in case CPI was that bad. And if I can catch that, that'd be big, but risk of a gap down was always there. 2 hour curls up though, we like it, so. There's just a lot. There's a lot that goes into it, and that's why I focus on the technical side, to clean up your options and things like that and figure out pricing, what pricing you like, what risk you like, how far out to take, the timing on it. I talk about the timing of it. I say what I like to do, but that does not mean it immediately has to work for you. We're different people. Computer death saying it. Yeah, my first entry's wrong. Right? And that's where we say a lot of the time, like these 30 minutes can't cross down. And a lot of the time you could see triple divergence on the 30 minute. You're going to see that a lot on the 30 minute. You actually saw it on the 2 hour, technically. I mean, technically you do have another curl down into negative territory on the 2 hour. So if I wasn't managing risk here, I would hopefully have really long out options and I would scale in, scale in, scale in. But you realize the timing of it could just be, hey, I'm wrong. Okay, let me get out. Hey, I'm wrong. Let me get out. Okay, now I can apply all that money to here. Scaling in, you might be down like 50% at this point, down at the lows. Whereas managing risk, you might have lost, maybe you didn't lose anything. Maybe you were right and you did like I did and take profit out of weekly, take profit out of weekly, take profit out of weekly, leave the runners every time. And then if that goes bad, you just say, all right, I'm out. But I made money, I made money, I made money. And then we leave the runners. There's just a million ways to do it, and you got to figure that out over time. And I wish I could be like every other, YouTuber out there and say, we can help you figure that out within a day. I think a course is a step in the right direction, but it's a process. I'm not going to say everything's going to be fixed just by taking, my course. I will never say that. It's about the application. It's about how you take in the information. If you're a good learner, if you can apply things a little bit quicker. Month crypto. I like 4 week on this just in case there's squeeze potential. I think it might be a quick squeeze, so that's why I took only a month. Like I said, I still think we might get to 611 on the SPY by the end of by the end of January. So I'm taking a little bit extension into February for Amazon, and yeah, we're targeting some monthly expected moves for the sell. That's all my trade's doing really, as far as the runners go. DJT, I see you're spamming DJT. Let's go look at it. DJT, we do have daily expected moves and weekly expected moves for this. I'm a little bit worried about DJT. You're seeing the upward move before the election. This was actually after the election, so that was a sell the news event. You saw a big move, right? You saw a big move before the election, and then what is this? On the day you drop down, the day after you spike up, and then right after that you give it all up and you head down. So just be aware, sell the news is kind of a real thing a lot of the time. If they're already talking about Donald Trump, you might want to just pay attention to this. And because the 30-minute is so wonky here, I'd be looking for a couple of things. I'd probably be looking for if that actually goes negative or if we actually get a firm closing. Maybe the 2-hour chart's better here, right? 2-hour actually curls down, 2-hour curls below the 9 and the 5. Can you tell me about Crocs? Ooh, Crocs. Wait, Crocs. Is that... Ah, sick. Ah, sick, Crocs. Potential for divergence on the 30. This is a tough one because it's down pretty good. But it's at $100. It's at 102. That's not bad. Actually, my mother-in-law just bought our baby girl some Crocs. But 30-minute divergence at the low. I kind of want to clean that up and look at an hourly, but it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. You just don't have good confirmation yet. You don't. And that's what kind of why I'm like, I kind of feel like doing this, seeing it a little bit smaller, but seeing a good hourly bar above the 9, making sure I don't need to manage risk, but also taking that back above the 5. We can see a reaction here. What I want to do is I want to look at the 2-hour, and this is the big deal here. This could be a short-term bottom. Let me look at daily real quick. If the daily curls up, that's a higher low. The 2-hour, though, I just want you to notice this here. Very deep. Very, very deep. And I'll show you this. Look in the past. Look in the past. 2-hour divergence popped up. So what you're saying is, I'm going to buy here. And notice the things that can happen. Now, it's not exactly the same, but I'm just using it as an example. And it curled down again to give you the divergence point. So this might be a 30-minute trade for the 2-hour to bounce. But, you know, you could test this area and fall, 104.50. You could test this area, which seems more likely, 108. And then that could turn down. And then you want to see if you get something like this, right? Like that on your MACD. Because that would be good. And you want weekly expected moves probably while you do it. So then you see this come to here, you have a lower low. But then maybe, just maybe, your MACD looks a little bit like this. And maybe the RSI shows it at the same time. That would be all great stuff. So you might have a small trade set up for the time being, but just be aware that last time that set up, it really just tested the 5 and failed again. That's what happened. So it could be brief. But thank you so much for pointing it out. I don't think it's like a horrible one to look at. I mean, if it can base out here and turn up on a daily chart, where is it? It's by positive territory. You're pretty much like, hey, we're going to go fill this gap. Or I'm sorry, the gap's all the way up here. So you might not fill that, but you might get a test of the 200. We'll see. Reacting to a key level, tried to break through. Oh, fail. Reacting to the key level, reacting, fail. That's a fail. But if you turn up, maybe you can do that again. Pretty complex one because of all this going on, but not too bad. Daily curls up. As long as, like, and that's the thing, like, whenever I look at these, I'm like, yeah, I could take that. You know, I'd say that a lot because I manage my trades pretty closely. So if something starts to go wrong, I treat it like it can go really, really wrong. And that's really saved me a lot of the time. More times than I've missed out on a move, right? And at the times where I'm like, I'm kind of feeling off about it. It's at a weekly move. It could go higher, but the structure looks good to go higher. I'm still going to be a good trader. I'm going to take my profit while I'm making money, and then I'm going to leave some runners. I'm always thinking about the risk. Yeah, everlasting knowledge, and thank you so much for the $2 donation. Thank you for asking about Crocs. Ton of fun. I think it looks pretty cool. Notice AMC gave up the entire move so far. Google is a very interesting one to me. This one is the one holding up the best. So very interesting. A lot of traps at the highs, but really just kind of consolidating sideways. I don't mind that. Yeah, you got me. You know what I'm saying? Microsoft, another one. We're just looking if that thing can end up turning up over time. Meta's the worrisome one right now. I get why you're a little worried about it, but just look at the 30-minute by the center line and see what happens. There's a lot of liquidity going on in these areas. Look at these wicks, look at these bars. There's a lot going on here. And really, you've been in this area for a long time. So if you can break out, might be a pretty good thing. I don't think is there a resistance point really? Maybe. I don't think that would help you too much to put that line there. Weekend, yes, good luck, Richard. Wait, where's Richard going? Go Buckeyes, all right. Time for lunch at my actual job. Hey, have fun at your job, all right, Richard? Thank you for coming by, and thank you so much for the $100. I will let my wife know that she can, take the dog out for maybe one last time with, and Richard's helping around. So thank you so much for that. It's going to be a sad day at the end of the day, probably today, so. PLTR we haven't looked at, and PLTR was interesting because this is one where, you were pretty damn beat up. You don't have divergence. So what do we like to say a lot of the time if you don't have divergence? Well, one, I kind of don't like this stair stepping. It really worries me that we could see a flash move down. I don't really like that too much because we don't have that strong of a base, right? Apple has at least a base in some way, so we're fine with that lagging behind a little bit. As long as we see production later, that's fine. If we don't, we have to manage risk, that's fine. All of it's good. So if the 2-hour crossed here, I'd be pretty worried that we're going to cut this low. Pretty worried. And you're starting to get to an area where that could happen. Now, there's always a bullish way, there's always a bearish way. So what's the bullish thing? Well, the bullish thing is the 30 minutes in a pretty positive trend. You've gone up to potentially a breakdown area, I would say, potential. And you're trying to make a small handle. That's probably not a good enough handle to go higher, but I say probably because it can do whatever it wants to do. It depends on if people are buying it more than selling it. So, but if this wanted to see a reaction to the 5, hey, if we want some micro way to head higher, this would be pretty great. I would like this a lot. But to keep it simple, the 30-minute is a little overextended. We're trying to break through. You're probably going to see pullbacks. Palantir is one with no base. You want to see that series of higher lows, and that's exactly what it's doing. So the only risk is the 2-hour crosses down. The 2-hour crosses down. You can fill this gap. You can fill this gap. You can cut this low, right? There's a lot that can happen if that 2-hour crosses down. Now let's look at the daily though. The daily is by the center line. So if this all leads to dramatic positivity, we keep making those little higher lows. What are you going to do? Well, if you cross up into here, you don't see anything bad up into here towards $75, right? You're able to break through that. It's kind of a way to go, okay, let's get to this level. Let's maybe back off and retest that again, make sure we're good, and then we head off. And then that would be where I think you see the real bigger upward move if all of that could take place. But you notice how much time that's going to take. LRCX got earnings on January 22nd. So we got to be careful towards earnings. We haven't had to, I'm sorry, is that correct? LRCX. So one thing about earnings that you have to realize is it's kind of like a coin flip, okay? So whatever's happening before the earnings might not continue. Whatever's happening, if you're heading up, that's what I'm more going to say. If you're heading up before earnings, that doesn't have to continue. If you head up during earnings or after or before earnings, you can see that continue, right? It's literally a 50-50 flip in my mind. That's how I treat earnings, and that's saved me a lot of the time. But you've made some great liquidity in here, and you finally were able to break this level. And even on the 30-minute, we see we're retesting that level and trying to see some positivity. So it could mean some good things over time, but I just want you to notice that these 2-hour charts, they're a little bit overbought. They're a little bit overbought. Something I'd probably be looking for is as we're basing out, we have a ton of divergence. It looks fantastic as far as the daily chart goes for the divergence. I mean, look at the tapering that's taken place. It's just held it. That's pretty awesome. So what I want to see is what's the weekly look like, right? And I'm seeing the weekly cross up as well. And I'm seeing us above a 200 on the weekly. So if I know how to manage risk, I can be like, hey, this could make a move to the upside. But there's just one problem, and it's the fact that there's earnings. Earnings can really go either way. And that's just, they know, thank you so much for the $2, but I have to give it to you straight. Earnings is a rough business. So what do I like to say? How do I play earnings? If I really like the daily divergence, I want to hold through earnings. Well, one, if I see an upward move before the earnings comes out, I might take some profit. Why would I do that? To minimize my risk in case that just falls. We've seen 30% drops from stuff like Path during earnings this year. Like, sorry, Kathy Wood, to bring you up. But the other thing is, if I don't take a play before earnings and I want to take it like the day before earnings, then you really want to pay attention to the size of your position, right? Because earnings can see a great big solid move. So why am I going to risk a bunch of money when it's a 50-50 flip? So if I have $10,000 and I have $1,000 allocated to options and I want to play in earnings, I might be only using like $150. That's the truth of it. It is. I hope it goes well for you. If you understand the risks, you can really minimize that risk, and you might get lucky and even be able to take a lot of profit here to where your risk is almost zero, right? You're just going to miss out on potential opportunity costs if you're wrong, right? That's how I would treat it at this moment. It's just earnings is a funky business, guys. You guys who have been here a little bit longer than everyone else, you know how I like to say about earnings. Most of the time I'm staying away from it unless, you know, it's like Apple and gave you the golden setup that's in the course. So daily timeline, it did spike up November 6th, but dipped down harshly. Exactly. So it dipped down. What didn't we just showed that off actually, but I'm pretty sure you saw a spike the day after, if I'm 100% clear there, and then you saw it get hammered like within the first 2 hours or 3 hours of the day. So it's just one that's kind of going to be like, hey, if you see a big upward move, maybe take some profit. Just on the watch list. Well, everlasting knowledge, that's a big thing. That's a big thing. If you're talking about something on the weekly scale and you're talking about an investment, it's never a bad thing to go look at the books. It's never a bad thing to go look at the books. How much assets on hand do they have? Are they making money? Are their revenues going down? Do they have debt? Like, this is why I'm saying the difference between, and I know we're talking about this again, but I just want you to see this, the difference between AMC and GME. Very, very different. Very different. GME, there's a lot of positive things you can say just because they're not in debt, and there's an unknown factor. AMC, there's not as much positive things to say besides, hey, the box office has done really, really well, right? If you're looking at, I would highly encourage, if you're looking at investing big amounts of money, you probably should at least go look a little bit at the books. I haven't really looked at books in a long time. I'm probably rusty right now. I also love to live dangerously. I noticed on YouTube, they're just always playing, like there's a constant live stream of like Austin Powers clips. Dude, that shit's funny, dude. You cannot hate on Austin Powers. That movie can't come, those movies can't come out today either, and that's the sad part. All right. So now we have potential for 30-minute divergence on the Qs while we're at the weekly expected move and we're hitting this little trend line. There is a chance we back off from these areas. People are pretty heavy towards the call side. The dollar's not dropping dramatically just yet. Like it tried to, it keeps buying back. It buys back, drops dramatically, buys back. So you're at a rough spot where things are confusing, right? So maybe these little lines will make things a little less confusing, right? At least for making a decision on what is a very good thing for you to do as far as risk goes. That's how I look at it at this point. Now, I've already taken profit in these levels, right? So I'm kind of just going, hey, I'm sitting in profit and I've already sold some to make that profit. So my risk is not very high here. And all that I'm risking is, hey, we turned down on Monday and I see a move down, and even if that would go to say 0, like I lose 100%, I would still be in the money overall just because of how good the move was. That's not ever always the case, right? That is not the case a lot of the time. But for this type of move, it happens to be the case. The way I've played it, I think, for me, has made me very comfortable with the risk. Just took a little profit for the run-up. Yeah, if you bought calls at the end of yesterday, I don't see a reason to. But if you had calls maybe from the lows still, seeing if you'd get another move higher, hey man, Qs looks good. And what did I say? I'm out of the Qs. I am out of the Qs. Just holding on to this bad boy, waiting to see if that 30-minute crosses. Then I know, ooh, probably got to get out of that one as well. And then if we end up seeing a squeeze next week for a random reason, we just see these signals turn down and just gap up on Tuesday, whatever, darn it, I might have to miss out. But am I going to sit there and FOMO about it, or am I going to look for an option to possibly get in? Maybe Apple's still lagging behind a little bit. I don't know. Look at the Mag 7 flying, all except for Apple. Nvidia doing well here. Still, still some risks. You're above a daily expected move, retesting those highs. You do have forms of divergence, right? Let's look at volatility. Maybe this is our hint. Maybe this is our hint. Just know if we're squeezing, this could go like this and just fail. Like that happens all the time. I wonder if we could find a moment. Yeah, do you see these? Okay, so this kind of reminds me a little bit of this, right? Look at that. And then we get this, and then we fail. That is a sell-off potentially from the low to the high. It's one day. So it's like, oh, volatility is coming in. We got divergence. This looks awful. And then it just goes bam. So just be aware that that can happen. But it doesn't mean I can't pay attention to risk. I could be like, oh, this is risky. Then it curls back down. And I go, okay, we're back to squeezing. But yeah, there's a lot that could happen. I'm here for it. I'm down. Processing, using fabrication, integrated circuits. Okay, so you're mainly interested in the semiconductors. That's good. That's good. That shows a market you really like, and you can pay attention to when that market's good. Just don't expect that market to always be good, you know? And I'm sorry, it's hard for me to see the subscriptions, but Miguel, thank you so much for subscribing, okay? Appreciate you. My streaming platform is a little funky here, so I'm kind of seeing things late. Amazon setup, very nice, beautiful bull flag. And yeah, you can see little pullbacks in those before you really want to break out. This hasn't broken out. You're seeing some weakness come in. We'll see what happens. The thing is, the buying pressure here for Amazon is not the best, so you want to keep that take that into consideration. Like if you really look here, you're still remaining pretty controlled. You want that to lose control, in my opinion. You want that to lose control, in my opinion. You want that thing to scream. So I'd just be paying attention if that 30-minute crosses. I'll probably be managing risk. That's probably, that was kind of my plan going into today. Was just, hey, if we can see an upside move, if I see any form of divergence, I don't need to risk anything. I've already made good money in the move. Even if I miss out on a squeeze, I'm cool with that. Are these pullbacks on the SPY dangerous? As you reach up towards 600, you can see meaner pullbacks. The reason that this could be quote-unquote dangerous is just because you have one reversal signal here on the MACD, not on the RSI. You notice that right there, there's my ticker. Bam, it's above that point. So this means to me, if we do pull back, it'll be most likely that. Does it even have to be dramatic? Doesn't have to be. As we get further from the 5, you notice we were able to hold up, let the 5 catch up. If we can hold up, let the 5 catch up, that would be great. One thing to note is you're above the weekly, you're above the daily, so these can become support, and that's what I'd be paying attention to. If we lose that, you'd want to be looking, hey, if we don't get support off the 5, we lose the 5, we might be going down to this gap, and that's a problem. By that point, though, you're probably going to be turning over 2-hour chart, and you already know 2-hour chart. Still leaning towards pullback. This is the higher reading of the MACD so far, so you're still leaning towards pullback, but it can be deeper. And then you're looking at this, right? You're looking at this and you draw a line right here with that high, and you know 600 is a key level, and you go left, head, right shoulder. That would be impressive. I just think with how Apple is structured right now, if Apple heads in the upward direction, I don't know if that shoulder really comes. If Apple doesn't see positivity soon, that's going to be a big problem. Nvidia, Intel, Micron, Broadcom, Taiwan Semis. Yeah, TSM had a good earnings, I think. Unless I'm completely wrong. Nope, yeah, TSM apparently had a decent earnings. But it's reacting to a key level, and a lot of people are going to be bearish on this as it rejects, and you're just going, well, this is what I like to do with earnings. I like to see the direction, wait for the retest, and then see if I get positivity, and then look at the breakout that's really could happen, right? Look at that move that could come. That's how you get up towards like 250, really. So I invite this. This is more what I like to see. I guess this is all Thursday. So technically, the earnings took you to the upside on Thursday. You dip down on Friday. You see that come down to lower levels, and it turns back up. That's your kind of confirmation, like, hey, we're remaining in a positive trend. We have seen, let's say, in this overall trend here, you would say lower high, lower high, lower high. Then you have a low. You have a new high, potentially, for a new trend. Didn't beat the last one, so it's still, you want to be aware of that. But if you can solidify a higher low, very likely, hey, we can take this out, go higher, and see that series of higher lows. And I think that would be fantastic for TSM. But I like to look for the first move, the impulse move or something, you know, from the earnings. And then I look for what's the opportunity for this to keep heading higher, right? The direction is kind of chosen here. I'm aware of how it can go down, the 2 hour. Very simple. Okay, so if that 2 hour crosses, none of this is going to take place. Right? We can think very simply a lot of the time. See how this is curling down, say, yeah, you're in pullback mode. Where are you probably pulling back to? Well, gap fills right at the 5. If you want to, you know, hold up better, maybe something like 210. And then if that can curl up, hey, I already know earnings was apparently good. People wanted to buy it after earnings. Apple, we don't like this. We do not necessarily want the 15-minute to curl down. This is why I was kind of like sitting and going, I kind of would like an hourly chart to curl up. Yeah, and that's the risk, right? That's why you saw me really look at this on the 30, and I'm going, I need a bigger time frame. That's why I was suggesting hourly charts look the best. I need this to give me that positivity before I can make a decision. And guess what? If you took it on the 30-minute and this 15-minute crosses, you can go down to lower levels, and that doesn't mean you have to make a divergence, right? This is a bad cross down. But if this did this, I can maybe manage risk. That way I don't lose a bunch of money. Lose 100% if you go down here, maybe, right? Lose 60%. So if this comes down, okay, awesome. I look for the reversal. If it shows at that time, then I would probably be back in. But the 30-minute, I wasn't convinced as much. Pretty far away from the center line. I need hourly positivity. VIX is starting to run. 30-minute confirmation is still what we're looking for here. I don't think that's much to worry about. The thing I'm worried about is why is the dollar remaining strong? And people have a lot of calls towards 600. Literally so many calls towards 600 today. So many freaking calls towards 600. It's crazy. Wait, did I hear a ding? Okay, no, we're good. Yeah, let me look at this. Let's see, yeah, and that's an ugly thing there now from Apple. We'll see what happens. That first test was directly on the weekly expected move. Ooh. That would be funny, though. Little head and shoulders on a 5-minute for Apple would be funny. You ain't look at oil yet. Well, oil had some pullback signals. I wonder if those came. There you go. There's your oil signal. Remember we were talking about this? Happened on the gap, so that's unfortunate, but we're talking about this forming, then it pulls down yesterday. We're seeing that little bounce starting to fail. My thing is the 2-hour going to see another move higher here? Oil can keep going, man. 4-hour, we noticed that had divergence and just crossed down, but what happens if 2-hour and 4-hour curl up? You have not significantly lost that 5-day yet. And I'm going to guess right now, like, I don't like to look at 30 minutes for US oil, but that looks like a potential double bottom here. Which, if you want to trade it, USO, means another 30-minute little move can come up. Maybe we go fill that gap. Which might mean yields are going to react here. So very interesting. The confusion continues. Oh, sorry about that. Had a big stretch. This is so fun. Martial law's like, now I get to buy volatility. Martial law, keeping it super simple. Oh, no, I don't know if you retracted your messages there. I can't see them. QUBT, yeah, QUBT, another one. You know, someone asking for, what are you excited to look into over the next maybe year or so for investments? I would say quantum computing. Obviously, they've all ran super high, but look at these pullbacks that the daily is just showing, hey, that's potentially good. And if you look at this on the daily, you want to get this good. If you can really analyze to this point and see, hey, what are we doing? We're reacting up to this level. We're seeing that pull back. Hey, maybe that goes down to here, but also, could that be a cup and handle? If you can get that down, it's pretty good. So now you know the risk, and really it goes like this. The 2-hour crosses down, you're very likely to fill this gap. If not, cut the logo, make a new one. Look at that, negative territory. Okay, that's one. The 2 would be this, the cup and handle situation that could be happening here. Or if you want to call it, you know, head and shoulder, whatever you want to call it. Really, it's just, does this consolidate at resistance? Does this consolidate and then break through? That's all I'm looking for. The 30-minute turns up, you have a good shot to break through, right? And then you'd go, where am I targeting? Potentially back up to these levels towards 16 something, right? Maybe the daily curls up. So you kind of have like, hey, reward, potential, maybe risk. Maybe you just go, risk is here, right? But you can see how just from this alone, you're kind of going, okay, well, my risk is smaller right now than my reward, but I understand there is still risk. And the 5's right there too. Now that would be kind of a long thing. I might move that up in some way. I wouldn't even be in the trade yet, right? Once you take the trade, you could potentially just put a stop like down here. I like to manage my trades personally though, but I don't mind it. I think you're looking at it at a good time. I would just be aware if this 2-hour curls down. If this does happen though, and the 2-hour curls down and you see that, shit, that's where I might be buying QUBT for a potential trade setup on the daily, right? Maybe we go down and tag these areas again. Crypto ball tonight. Crypto ball? Wait, what the hell is crypto? Like a crypto ball, like a ball? Wait, what? I have a ticket. Nvidia CEO crapped out on quantum computing, saying it's 15 to 20 years out. That's where the giant drop came in. Well, here's the thing. People say that about everything all the time. It's just, you know, do you believe in it enough? Have you studied quantum computing enough? Can you see that pattern of people gravitating towards quantum computing in the future? Do you see it as good for businesses? What are the benefits of quantum? You want to look at those things and say, it's kind of like how people convince themselves to not buy Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to convince myself, like over-convince myself not to buy something. That's actually what I did with Bitcoin back in the day. I had that fun play with Dogecoin, but I should have been buying Bitcoin back when I first heard about it. I think I first heard about it when I was first in college in like 2011. And I was like, what? It just sounded so foreign to me that I was like, yeah, that's stupid. And then now I'm stupid, right? It's like, where was 2011? Let's look where, I think it was 2011. I don't know if it's even on the chart. Hey, we'll say 2015. Well, yeah, I'm feeling pretty stupid. You would have bought a pizza with the Bitcoin, probably. But yeah, but you don't know how your emotions would be in here. You don't know how they'd be in here, but that's where it just pays to be. This is like, this is kind of like the GME argument right now. You don't know exactly what's in the future, but you see how it could be positive. That's kind of, I think, a lot of the good arguments for GME. If someone's making it like an investor argument, I think that's more what you argue. And then if you get news and you don't like that news, you can get out of it, right? You're like, I don't like that strategy. Wait, is GER actually a thing? Trap on the SPY? Very well could be. You see the dollar going up. You see the reversal signal from volatility. Actually, let's not do that. Let's do this. Very well could be. We got to make sure that daily is able to stay crossed up for the day. Now, is this going to be a big trap or a little trap? And I'm only saying that because you can use these as support. But we do have a 68% chance to land down in here by the end of the day. Just so you're aware. I was holding at $9, it pulled back. So it's what? GRRR. And thank you so much for the $2. Oh yeah, I don't mind this. This is very similar. I would say, wasn't it IonQ that were QUBT? Very similar, right? Look at the 2 hour. Uh-oh. Look at the 30-minute. Uh-oh. Okay, so I have my way up and my way down. Way down, 2 hour crosses, that's bad. Maybe it's just, you know, this starts to cross, then it gets below the 5. I don't know. I like to wait for the 2 hour to cross if I'm thinking something's bullish. But I wouldn't have taken the trade here. That's the thing. So now I would be looking for the trade, right? The direction was chosen for a little bit. If we can show support and curl up, very, very obvious look here. Very, very nice. You even had 5-minute divergence to kind of call that. 5-minute I don't trade based off of, but it does show you some things for 30-minute charts a lot. So 30-minute retagging the 5. This is very healthy to do. A good run that takes you above the 5. You're now going to retest the 5, which happens to be right at what? The breakout area. Look at the wick. Very nice. If this could just curl up, hey, where are we probably heading? Well, if you can see a good curl up, if this full measured thing plays out, let's see what that would kind of look like, right? I don't like measured moves, but I know you guys probably do. Hey, look at that. One of the breakdown areas. So one of the breakdown areas was 1950. The highest breakdown area was obviously this gap up here towards $23. Awesome. What's the daily chart look like? I don't see divergence, but I also don't see a MACD that it may not have the most room. So I'd actually be okay with that 2 hour turning down, as I haven't made a decision for a couple of days. This gets even deeper down here, and then we see that 2 hour divergence that pops you up, ooh, and then the daily crosses, ooh, and then you go like that. That would be great. I don't think this looks too bad, honestly. I think you just have to be patient and see how it sets up for you, and then, you know, have your reasons for the trade. Is GER not even right? Is this not even the right chart? Oh, this is AI. This is an AI stock. Technology services packet. Oh, what did I just move? Okay, can I grab this? Vision of video intelligence, Internet of Things, security edge, AI, data analytics, and operational technology, security solutions and services in Asia Pacific. It operates through the segments video, IoT, security convergence, and other. The company was founded by Spencer Coe in May 2001. So it's been around for a good amount of time too. Is headquartered in London. I mean, good. Hey, I'm going to ask you a question because Everlasting, you looked at some stuff, right? So what do the books look like? Growing, not growing, assets not growing, assets on hand, like things like that are always good. Cohen met with Trump recently. GME has a nice chunk and ride the waves with a 5. What did he meet with Trump? When did he meet with Trump first? GME, not looking the best. And if anyone's trying to tell you what direction GME is going, by the way, if they're saying anything but this would be a random turnaround and this can continue, if they're not saying those two things, then I wouldn't read into it much, because this has there is nothing here. There is just nothing to go off of here. You're seeing calls get squeezed. That's what you're seeing here for GME. You're seeing calls get squeezed. You're starting to maybe taper, but there's not enough reasons right now. Still holding the stock. I'm just saying, I got out of options after the gap. I was like, yeah, I'm out of options. No option there anymore. Yeah, I have to react, and this is just, that's a really good confirmation that this is going to go down. I almost shorted it. I genuinely almost shorted it, but I think I've shorted GME one time, and I'm always freaked out that the move's going to happen right when I short it. So I'm not, I don't do that at all. It's too scary. What do you think it'll be today? Oh, I can't judge that. Yeah, I can't judge that. I can tell you where you might run into resistance, but the thing is, Adelisa, it's a fine question. It's okay. I get it. Like, how high will Bitcoin go today? The thing is, all that has to happen is someone with a few $1 billion or $100 billion comes in and buys it, and it just goes dramatically up. All that has to happen is someone with hundreds of billions of dollars sells, and it goes down. So it's just, how high can it go? It's like, we can't get good levels for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin moves like at all times. So it's very difficult to point out that information. Now you can point out, hey, where would it run into resistance and things like that. That's something you can look into. Yeah, we've talked about the SPY, Izzy. We can talk. We're going to look at the SPY a lot, guys. Okay, but just so you guys know, like for Bitcoin, really, it can go up or down. I mean, look at this. How would you have guessed this? This is what I'm going to use Adelisa as an example. Would you have been able to call this? Right now, we have a pretty obvious low level. We've called that out. We have a pretty obvious high we just took out. So where do you think we're pointing now? Here. But does that mean it has to sell off from there today? What if someone just decided to buy a ton of Bitcoin today? What if Michael Saylor just goes, I'm buying Bitcoin with the breakout? Right? Then it's going to go up. And here's the thing too, guys. Look how long you've remained in this area. You just tested this area again on January 13th. You have been in that area, technically with this wick all the way back here, since November 13th. You're talking months. Talking a few months there. That's a long time to remain here. So as far as a daily move goes, though, you can't really judge it. There's not. You can look at the ETFs and try to make probably weekly expected moves, but I highly doubt they're going to work well. I tried that with BITO. It just did not work at all. So what I'd be saying is more so just what can I, right now that would be a question that's focused on something that's almost impossible to know. So what can I focus on? I can focus on this. That's it. I can focus on this. Can SPY. Let's go back over to the SPY because I know people want to see that. Let's see here. Aw. Everyone left me today. Why are you guys leaving me? Daily scale still turned up for the SPY at this moment. No curl down in sight just yet. I am not going to be managing risk on trades because of a 30-minute curl down. It will depend a lot on what are we doing around the 5-day moving average. It'll depend a lot on what are we doing around this area. And then I will use my gut trader to say, hey, do I want to make my profit or do I want to try to catch this squeeze that could come? I'll never let you go, Jack. Never let you go. Never let you go, no. Looks like a healthy uptrend for the SPY. I mean, kind of spitting facts on the weekly chart, aren't we? Hello? higher low, higher low, higher low. I mean, that's a mean weekly bar if I'm trying to be bearish on a Friday. It's a mean weekly bar. Doesn't mean bad things can happen. It's just, hey, that trend's been pretty positive. Why? And that's a big thing too. If you're in a very positive trend, look for bullish setups, right? If a daily is in a serious positive trend, like we've been in, look for the bullish setups. We've been very quick to point out the bullish ones. We pointed out the bearish one here before the election, and then you got a bullish setup right on election day. All right, look at the bullish setups. This is curling up. If that can go positive. Look at this too. You were much deeper here. You still got it back. Thank you, Nvidia, back in the day. Say thank you, Nvidia, for this. Remember when we called this out? Because Nvidia showed the reversal signals. The SPY and the Qs did not. But now we're up a little bit higher than that. We have big bases built, a lot of liquidity, a lot of bearishness. I just told you, mid-February has a 7.0 put to call ratio. Not a lot of open interest, but a lot of bearishness there. So it'll be a lot of damage if we keep heading in the upward direction. And for the short term, though, there could be a lot of damage if we head down from here. Adelisa, did you leave for a second when I just said like Bitcoin? It's impossible to give you the exact high low of Bitcoin I can't even give you it with 68% confidence, right? This is our 68% confidence zone. You're blowing past that, which means Bitcoin's probably blowing past its 68% confidence zone easily, and you'd more so just want to be paying attention to highs. Things can go up and down based on what one random guy with a lot of money does, and that's all you want to be looking into, really. It's like you want to more just focus on, is the opportunity good right now? Is it bad right now? If it's bad right now, then why would I risk my money behind it? Once I think that simply, it changes a lot. And we use weekly and monthly expected moves to do that with stocks, but you can't necessarily do that with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is much more of, hey, for me, it's do I see good daily structure? Do I see good 4-hour structure? Do I see good weekly structure? That's going to help me out a lot more. Oh, not the PCE. Sorry about that, Crypto Lightning. Sorry about that. PCC, if you would call it that. I don't think it is the PCC. I think it's more the CPC. So what you want to do, if you guys want to see the data, I'm not trying to hide it from you. It's right here. You just you can look at maximumpain.com. I don't pay attention to Maximum Pain very often, right? A lot of people with GME and AMC pay attention to that. I'm like, I mean, if it has a put wall or call wall added, I'll pay attention to Maximum Pain, but that's about it. But you can literally go to maximumpain.com and then you click on the little options tab, right? You go here, you click this, and then you go over here and you just do this, SPY. Right? I click that and I go like this, 17th. What are my important levels? 600. Where are we at right now? Where are we at right now? 600 area, right? We're 1.5 points away from 600. So where do I think resistance could come in? 600. Would I hate that? For the structure of the stock, would I hate that? No. What if that's just a little handle and we're going to squeeze? What if that's a right shoulder and we're going to go higher? Right? I don't hate it. I just want to make sure everything remains okay. It just might mean, hey, for the long side right now, if I have shorter options, I might be selling some of those, right? We're outside of a daily and weekly. So once you put all that together, you start to realize the risk in this area. But you can literally go click on this. You can look at it. You can go like this. And what I was doing, I think the right side of my screen's cut off, but you can see the put call ratio is 2.18 today. So the upward move is putting all these people at 0 almost, because their options end today, right? Even these options that are 590, they're potentially worth 0. Maybe 10, maybe they're worth like down 90%. I don't know. But if we extend this out and we go, okay, well, let's go look at, say, next week, 2.5. Now you want to pay attention to this because this is 843. But today is 4.9 mil. That's a lot of money on the line today. Then I might go to the 31st and see 4.16, 1.9. So that's even more bearishness going into that time frame. Okay. Then I might extend it out again, right? I usually just do a month out. 7.11, a little bit lower on the open interest though. Maybe go one more. 5.92, lower again on the open interest. See, and then I can formulate an argument for thinking around that. And I could say, hey, if this is going to keep squeezing, that would make a little bit of sense. We have a lot of bearish bets. So if they are wrong, and it's not necessarily a contrarian indication, just seeing that and making a bet if we're at lows, people could be right and we could be crashing, right? But the fact that this is now going in the upper direction is causing them to probably feel some pain. And if those people sell, you can start to see what's called a short squeeze, right? Meaning a lot of the time, those short positions are going to close. These positions down here are going to close. And therefore, this just starts to release, and then you could see people actually buy in, right? The FOMOers. That's kind of how squeezes take place on a very basic level. Can you look at Rivian and Nikola? I'll look at NKLA, but we've already looked at Rivian earlier. This here, you just have a little divergence here, right? This is a great positive move, though. Right? I don't want you to think like, oh, this is going to be garbage, right? This is a 30-minute that went higher. You don't have it on the MACD at the same time. This could just do that again. We could go test this area, right? We could retest the 5. We could not, right? This isn't even that big of readings of overbought. The thing you want to be aware of is if that 2-hour confirms down. That would have to do like all of this. You would have to see 2 big red sell bars like this all the way down to here pretty quickly. And then you might be crossing. So pretty simple there. But what did you build at the low? We built a base. That's a pretty good base. I don't think you're holding divergence the best, but it might be on the daily scale. I want to see. Yeah, look at the significance of that RSI divergence there. So this could be a double bottom, and you could end up seeing a big reaction. But you just want to be like, okay, when's the opportunity to take the trade and all that kind of stuff? It probably was at lower levels. Probably was with the higher low, which you didn't necessarily get a cross down. You don't have great signals here. You just have one on the MACD. If that was enough for you to make a decision, you probably want more than that. You have support and things like that. But for me, I'd probably like to see positivity and see if that can go up again. And then it did. And this is where I'd probably make a decision. And then I'd be looking at weekly expected moves and how far out my options are. I got 30. Depends on how much money you're risking. Depends on how much money you're risking, but from this standpoint, you're just going, okay, we built a floor. It's down all the time though, so options are going to be sketchy, right? Anything that looks like this, if you're building an argument, you really should be leaning towards shares, not options. That's just my opinion. Something that's hurt me in the past is thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to catch a squeeze, right? Until you have a bunch of money, it's kind of hard to keep putting money into something if you're going to try to catch a squeeze, right? Technically with AMC, I've lost a lot of trades with AMC on options. Like a lot of trades with AMC on options. I'm gonna say that again, like a lot of trades on AMC with options. But the thing is, I'm not trading even 5% of my account for AMC. I'm not even trading 1% of my account. You know, I'm using $250. So that's how I think about it. I just use the fun account. I make money on the Qs, and then I go, yeah, I can afford to buy calls in case like something random happens at the same time it did years ago. I literally have month out calls for $250. That buys me 50 contracts, so I'm good. And yes, I am being a degen, and I'm wasting money trying to just potentially catch a squeeze. But I know what I'm doing. I understand. That's why I use the fun account for it. And you notice my real trades are this, right? My real trades are this, which was, you know, thousands of dollars risked this week on actual trades. That's the difference. Using small amounts. Okay. As long as I'm managing risk in some way, I'm pretty happy with my trading. Retest of the charge of the large having wedge that is squeezed from December 16th. Hey, I'm not going to talk bad about it. I'm just saying it looks bad right now on the technical side, like very bad. Like you can't really say much for GME on the technical side besides like you're hoping that the daily turns up. And anytime I'm using the word I'm hoping in taking a trade, it's not a good sign. It means I probably don't have those 3 to 5 reasons to take the trade. Right? So I'm just going to hold on to GME. I think AMC was just cheaper to do. In case it squeezes, I'm just like, all right, cool. I made good money this week. I've got an extra chunk here. Let's throw it into the fun account and see what happens. Which actually, I don't think I had to throw money into the fun account because thank you, Wolf, back in the day. That little 1,200% trade on $50 was nice. That was the last. Well, I guess I had like the FFIE thing I had to manage. 100K on GMA long. Hey, I pray for you. I wish the best for you. Will SPY hit 600 today? I think that's a very good possibility. I think that's very, very probable. I can't tell you definitively, but it's very, very probable. And 600 is where, you know, the battle, I think, is. I think this is the battle zone right now. 600 is your call wall, so it depends a lot if you blow past that or if you and use it as support or if you fail from it. Don't believe that Nvidia will close at 140 today. You do have potential for divergence here for Nvidia as well, but this could be a big cup and handle in some way. I mean, that kind of probably ruined it right there. So you would just say consolidation in some way at the 5, retest the 5, break to the upside. Awesome. This looks positive. I don't want to get negative on something before it tells me it's negative. That's kind of how it goes because we see pullbacks all the time. Right? I'm not a day trader, right? But if I see a big break to the upside and then I see it retest down in here and then I see positivity, I'm probably trying to play this high again. And that goal might have already been achieved, like for the most part for the day trade, right? A 2 points on a day trade for Nvidia, not bad. I don't know. I think you have a lot that could happen for Nvidia. It's just, you know, do we see volatility signals confirmed? That'll be a big hint. We haven't seen that yet. Do we see SPY hit 600? That'll be a good hint of how the reaction is around there. But Nvidia, it should be pointing in the upward direction. If this daily can cross up, that would be positivity. I mean, okay, look at the daily chart right now. Okay, let's see. How high did this go? 153.13. The high here, 152.89. That's a new all-time high. Now, let's look at this. Low, higher low. So we have a low, a higher high than the previous, but it was a lower low. So it might be a new sequence here. Low, high. If this can really solidify that it is a higher low, you're very likely to go make a new all-time high. Right? You might have the series there. It just might be very, you know, dramatic, but thank God we had a weekly expected move here, right? So what you're trying to do is just do things very, you know, a lot more minimally, and that's fine, but you have to be aware of some things. So if the 30-minute crosses here, bad things can happen. That's it. If the 30-minute crosses here and bad things can happen, then it whips back up. Hey, good things can happen as the daily chart curling up, right? Very, very simple. I don't think I said this in the past too. I said Apple, I believe it was Apple, Tesla, and Nvidia will be 3 very difficult ones to trade. And it is, right? It turned out to be. Remember Tesla? We said that from this point. We said this is going to be hard to trade. If it sees extreme positivity, you can make a higher low, but you're going to need to make a higher low. And it got hard. It got difficult. And it did it. It was difficult. So I looked at other things. Apple. It did something. It did the thing we were talking about. And then I looked at it and I go, that looks difficult. That does not look like it's taking back the 5. Then it gets more difficult. And it makes the stronger base now. Right? So we're looking for the hourly chart to curl up. Do you know what? Do you know what's funny? Is again, during this overall potential flag, I'll call it potential little flag in here. During this, where are you going again? Where's that weekly expected move? It's right there. This is how, you know, Patreon, I shout it out because I think it is genuinely helpful for you. It costs $7 a month. I'll tell you how much it is. You can try it out for a month. It costs you $7 to try it out. See how it goes. I would suggest trying it for a couple months, but you hit weekly expected moves about 75% of the time. So it's just this. I said the 30-minute, I need more convincing. That's still kind of drawn out. So I would like to see an hourly confirmation, and then I'll make a decision. If I see an hourly confirmation that goes like this, even better, even if I want to wait and just be really patient, I would want to see an hourly that's like that, right above this 5. Then I could say, hey, we're very likely to test the high. That would be awesome. And then maybe we build structure to head up. But if we can, for whatever reason, see some kind of gap above that, ooh, this thing might be curling up on daily charts. Where's the daily? It's slightly negative, so I'm open to a lower high. Where would a lower high set up? Well, it's probably going to set up right here at 241 to 242, or up here towards 250. And I'm good. I'm good. All right, now I have the plan. Now it's my job, right? This is my job. My job is to execute. Have I had the moment to start to execute yet? It's building. Yeah, that's the weekly expected move again. You've literally tagged it here. You tagged it over here. That was the setup. Tagged it here. I took profit and I said, Amazon looks better right now. This could throw up. It threw up, so I'm glad I did that, right? I can look back and be like, wow, that was a great decision. I should make more decisions like that. I could write that down in my booklet and be like, look, I could write down all that decision-making pattern and be like, that was very good. Amazon looks better than Apple right now. That's great. So I want to write that down. I want to make sure to do that again. And then I said, okay, this is dropping. Am I going to buy this because it hit the weekly expected move again and then it saw some positivity? Or am I going to wait, make sure that positivity is there, and then make a decision? That's my plan. That is my plan. And I'll still, because this is so negative, because this daily bar looks so garbage, because the weekly chart looks garbage, I will be managing this very closely. But this could end up being a fantastic opportunity, right? When people are really scared of it, I get into it. I like that. I like that. It's where the party at. Earnings will be huge. And as banks, actually, what banks gave earnings? Shitty Bank? Who gave earnings? That was good. Did, shit, I don't want to go look it up. Someone tell me what banks had earnings, damn it. Well, I guess we could just look. Yeah, I'd say earnings probably went pretty well this week for some of those banks. Did you have a signal before it? Yes. Earnings is a sketchy thing, but we were talking about XLF at the beginning of the week. These are things you want to be careful on, but earnings ended up being good. If bank earnings are good, I'm pretty set on earnings being all right for stocks. But you never know. Apple is one that I'd be worried about. Maybe it does get the lower high with earnings. Why would it get that with earnings? Well, they just said again. I mean, I know that people are pointing out that's old news, but they're just pointing out again, and that's the reason that this dropped. But the reason is just someone sold a bunch because they probably, you know, saw the weakness with their sales in China again. I want to look at SMCI first, because this one was interesting. I thought it was trying to make a base here. You got it to curl. Look at the divergence on the RSI, by the way. You know, this is what I'm saying. There's always going to be an opportunity. So stop looking at the things that are up dramatically and start looking at things that have daily MACDs maybe by the center line. Right? 2 hour. Look at this. Potential for a double bottom. Awesome. I curl up again. Whether you want to call it high or low or a double bottom at this point. Okay. Looks great. It's curled up. It's not seeing the positivity that you need, though. It's not. It is holding at lower levels. That is worrisome. But you never know. Maybe this ends up being a good move. As long as it's just managing risk is probably coming into play now, right? I wouldn't be excited to hold this, but if we can take back the 5 and then get a good confirmation up, hey, that's when I'd be happier. MSTR, I think that's just more, you know, It's already been good. 30-minute divergence on the RSI, kind of flat. Kind of flat on the MACD, if not down, actually down on the MACD. So curled up, but the important part is this. The 2-hour curled up, the 2-hour got a higher low. 2-hour curled up, the 2-hour got a higher low. Low, high, higher low, higher high. Where do I want to get in? When a lower low is kind of confirmed, right? I don't necessarily want to get in at a new high. But this is just great behavior too. This is great behavior. Left, head, right shoulder. Remember, if you take it through, sometimes you'll throw up, right? We got too excited, so you throw up. And where did you go to? Almost even there. That's really cool. I don't mind the setup at all. I don't like the person who runs the damn thing, but I can still appreciate the technicals that are behind this. Mr. Buffett just got lucky. I don't think he is skilled. Well, there are a few things about Buffett that were pretty good. Okay, now, if you can catch those moments before bubbles, then yeah, it's kind of like throw a dart at the wall and you're probably going to win. Right? That's kind of how it was. Like .com bubble. Okay, anything with .com anything was good. Right? So, but picking names is harder than you think. It's just back then you could pay, I think, more attention to PE ratios, price of a stock, and things like that. You didn't have to do as much technicals. You didn't have as many people in the options market to really cause these big fluctuations at certain times. So I think all of those things make trading and make investing more complicated. That's why I think the whole, I would say potentially since the 1960s, it was just buy and hold, right? It was just buy the indice and throw a dart at an indice and you're going to hit it all. Who's Dream Dev? Oh, Dream Dev's the one that brought it up. Yeah, I will say this, if you're saying lucky, there is luck that has to do with a lot of this stuff. There's a tiny bit, but it's people who, what's the way to treat luck? I would say it's like 99% everything else and 1% luck. Because what you're doing is you're looking back on things and you're saying you would have made the same decision. Look back. Did you hear about Bitcoin when it was $240? Did you make a decision? Like that's the easiest example I can think of. It just happened way quicker than, say, the stock market now. It's just, I admitted that I was one of those guys that said, I don't really understand this. It looks stupid. There's no way that this is going to be worth money. That was me in college looking at Bitcoin at $240. I'll admit it. And who looks like the idiot now? Right? Would I have been lucky? Maybe. What if I just blindly bought it? Maybe that was lucky. Who knows? But the thing is, if I would have seen value in it and I bought some, I would be very, 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 very well off now. Oh, dude, I love Munger. I love Charlie Munger. I'm 16 right now. Exactly. So you have a lot of learning to do, and that's fine. Like, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm not going to treat you like an idiot. I think you're 16. Hey, you're looking at some cool stuff. I think that's fine. That's great. It's just notice you have a lot more time than all of us. So I wouldn't be offending, one thing that Warren Buffett did right was he utilized the time that he had when he was young, right? He said, I'm going to buy these things now. People can do whatever to them that they want. I'm just going to buy them now and then hold them forever and get dividend money. You could probably learn a lot from him since you're young. And you can look at the times to buy and learn some little things that maybe he didn't have access to. Right? You have access to data now, like extreme data. Like you have more access to data than anyone ever in history. And so, say not a year ago, but right, yeah, about a year ago, we'll say 2023. A little of it's over a year ago for sure, but It's like, now you know a little bit more. Now you have stocks that have proven to be good. You have a stock that was getting talked about all the time, like Nvidia, back in these areas, and people were talking badly about it, and then you see it cross up, and you go, is this like a Bitcoin? Is this like a this? Is this like a that? I'm just saying, you have a lot of good things. So treat it like you're learning, not like you already know it. That's going to be a big thing. Everyone laughs at the fool, but the fool is willing to learn. The fool doesn't think he's smart. So the fool asks questions. Just got back from lunch. I think you're saying is throw 100 shares at everything and eventually you'll be a millionaire. So ask questions. That's it. It's just what questions do you need to be asking? You know what I mean? That's it. I think you can learn a lot. I wish that I had this type of attitude towards learning when I was 16. I hated school, and I still hate school. I still hate school. I like to study things that I like. I would do that if I were you. If I could give any advice to my 16-year-old self, I would say, learn about what you want to learn about, do what you want to do. That will actually be good for you, something that's beneficial. So mine would have been, hey, I started to take soccer seriously when I was 20 years old. 20. And I almost became a pro soccer player. Hey, that's awesome. But I was a little late. I could have been a lot better. Oh, I still hate school. I don't know how people do it. I hate school. I think it's awful. But I only hated school when I was learning about something I didn't care about. I got a C or a D in biology in college, and I was happy about it because I didn't have to take the course anymore. Does inflation have an impact on stock prices? Yes. So Dream Dev, we're going to give you a little crash course here on how inflation works. So I'm sure your parents, I don't know if you live with your parents, I don't know, maybe, you know, a lot of people do end up working from a very young age now, but if you're at your parents, just look at their housing value. So what you need to understand is if inflation is going up, then assets get more valuable. At the end of it all, assets will be more valuable. And a simple way to prove this is when we tried to fight inflation, yeah, stocks kind of had a rough period, right? We were fighting inflation, so people were very against that. Then once we say we're done fighting inflation, we're going to start to potentially cut. What happens to the assets? They grow. What happens to companies' revenues when inflation is higher? Well, the revenue numbers get bigger, right? If I pay $3 for an apple, then I pay $4 for an apple, the revenue is going to look bigger. It's not going to look bigger, it's going to be bigger. The thing you want to get at is like margins and things like that. But yeah, so inflation will impact stocks and assets, and they most of the time will get more expensive. It's just what assets actually get more expensive. So a house is a very good thing to look into. A house is a very easy thing to study. Now, Dream Dev, we're gonna school you on something here. How do you get rid of inflation? There's only one way. And it's in the word inflation, right? It's just a different kind of word. How do you get rid of inflation? Who can do it? Assets are a hedge against inflation. Yeah, look at gold. Look at gold right now. You think you're in an inflationary time? Dream Dev, you're living in one of the most inflationary times. Dream Dev is going to change the world. You're in that pattern. Life's all patterns. Dream Dev's going to end up being the generation that probably changes the world. Probably for the better. Because we're going through a bad period now. You know what comes out of bad period? People like Dream Dev who want to look at stocks and learn and come into a channel and ask questions. I wasn't doing that at 16. Jimmy Carter. The only thing that really cures inflation is deflation. It's very simple. I don't want inflation going up anymore. Okay, then you need deflation. Because here's the trick. Here's the kicker. Inflation's always going up. And you're always getting things to inflate more by at least 2% a year, right? Right, Joe Dirt? Awesome name. Great name. God, I'm going to grow a mullet now for you. Fed targets 2% inflation, but is that number negative? Nope. So is your stuff going to get more expensive even if we bring it down to 2% inflation? Are your prices going to fall if you get it down to 2% inflation? They're not. They're actually just going to stop increasing by 10% or 5% or 6%, and they're just going to raise by 2% from where they are. Low inflation is an okay thing, unless you go through a period of extreme inflation. That then, if you just go up by 2%, 2%, 2%, well, eventually you're going to break through and start to see higher levels. That's just how it works. How do you experience deflation? Deflationary events. Which is unfortunate because deflationary events come with what? What is a deflationary event? A recession. What does a recession mean? Higher unemployment, more bankruptcies, people not being able to pay for their homes, mortgages. That's the only way you deflate. You have to cut down on the demand, and then companies will sit on a bunch of supply that no one can buy. And then what do? Well, they're going to give big discounts. They're going to make less margin. They're going to give big discounts. What does a discount mean? The price of the product's going to have to come down. Broncos pretty much got it. 140 touch or no? I love it. We snap right back to the market. I like it. Very skeptical at this point. Very skeptical about the 141. You've lingered in this area with no big sells. That's actually, I think, an okay thing. You're mainly only worried about the dollar going positive here. And you're worried that people are very towards the call side, like very towards the call side. That doesn't have to be some dramatic drop, but it is kind of implying, hey, watch out. People could take profit towards the end of the day. Most likely that dollar going up might be some taking of profit because we're not seeing it really break through and hold through this 5. So I'd be aware of that, and that can cause more selling. So we'll see what happens with this. 2 hours starting to go positive with potential higher low. So just be aware of the risk. Like we've always been aware of the risk of this, and we have a signal to help us out with it. Right, the 30-minute signal here. Hey, what's happening with that? It's just kind of flat, though. I'm not seeing a reaction. So like I said, we looked at puts and calls a month out, and a lot of puts. Where do I think it closes today? I'm going to say, where would I think the most likely area to close today? I don't like to say that because people read into it and they think, oh, it has to happen. Or they risk their money based on what a guy on the internet says. I wouldn't do that. I'm not trying to teach you how to follow me. I'm trying to teach you how to make good decisions. Where do I think the most likely area? I think it's going to be right over here. I think we could end up seeing some kind of sell to the end of the day. But you never know. The big money comes in at the very end of the day, and you could see a green spike up like that at the end of the day. So you could be squeezing at this moment. But I don't like to really say that too often because there's no signal that is telling you that has to happen. There's no reason to think that is, like, there's no reason to put money behind that happening yet. I think there are some reasons you could make, but I'm not a day trader, so I'm saying there's no reason. Now, if this 30-minute would cross, you don't see that buying come in, yeah, you can see that pullback next week. So we'll chill. We're waiting for it. Hey, who's liking the longer stream? So deflation is the result of basically only bad stuff like COVID, 2008 crash, no good way to deflate. It can happen just based on, cycles. It can happen based on cycles. The thing is, just like a stock, it's just like a stock, right? Your deflationary events, if you will, are the times where you dip down. You dip down to the 200. You dip down to the 200, right? It's just we stay inflated a lot more because I think people have leverage and things like that now. But you'll see this. It's like, okay, this right here, you're like, hey, we went through a bad period, right? Prices of things might have came down during that period. You'd have to look into it very critically. You're more looking at the cycle you're in now is you're kind of pointing towards blow off top, which means things can get ugly soon in 2025. We'll see. About Nvidia, only one share. Is that good for 130? It's all right. I mean, the thing is, if you're 18 and you're risking a bunch of money, just know you have a lot of time. One thing I would say to the young people out there is just learn how to manage your money correctly. Learn about risk and reward. I don't think that this is like the worst place to buy it, but what are you trying to do? Are you trying to be like a guy on the, here's the big question for young people. What type of content are you consuming according to the stock market? Are you consuming the ones that say 10x your money tomorrow? This stock will go up 1,000,000% in 2025? Or are you paying attention to people like FX Evolution? Are you paying attention to people like Figuring Out Money? I'd like to put my channel in there with that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you people that I respect. Those people will always talk about risk. Those people will talk about when there is a potential good reward. And that's what I like. Those are the people I trust, if you will. Do I take trades based on what they say? No. Yeah, exactly. He's an Aussie. I like my Aussies. They're good people. And a guy that's willing to work at like 3 a.m. to put out a video for you is very, very nice. Like, think of his time change. Take that into consideration. CA, we're not insured. Exactly. Now that many of them lost their homes, can you imagine how many of them will default on their mortgage? They will default. And don't be tricked. This is a very, very bad thing for homeowners. And they're going to tell you, no, they can't get poached and people aren't going to do what they did in Hawaii. They are going to do exactly what was done in Hawaii. And you're going to get rich people that come in. They just lost, say, a $30 million house. And you're probably going to see someone come up to them and say, hey, you didn't have insurance. Your insurance isn't covering it. So just to make it better, I'll pay you at least $6 million for the home. That's what's going to happen, and it's going to be, it's already making people leave California. Like obviously with the fires, they're going to leave, but I'm saying like it's going to cause that effect because it's risk. Once again, it's risk to reward. Like you're going to have some people that want to take the risk, and they're going to pay someone $6 million to buy it because the risk to reward might be good. That property could build back up to $30 million, and then they could potentially have a good asset. I'm sorry about that, Tina. Yeah, I know you're going through it, and I appreciate you coming in still. Man, we've gone through a lot of stuff today, but the insurance thing, just know this. With the fire and the insurance premium, Tina, maybe you could give some insight there. And Richard, retracting a message. What'd you retract, Richard? Anyone see the creepy video of Newsom giddy and happy about burned property? Exactly. And the thing is, for me, the amount of weird stuff that happens, it really bugs me to see that. People are losing their homes and you're acting all excited about the Olympics while these people are like literally not just losing their house. Like, that's a huge amount of value. Just had a brain fart. Okay, GME hit hard today, down 21.5% from the recent high. 4 years ago, it had the same drop of 23% and then launched, rocketed, countdown liftoff. Maybe. Hey, Sid, there's one thing I agree on. Patterns do repeat. Patterns do repeat. What kind of pattern do you think you're in right now? Remember, I study psychology, so wonder what kind of pattern you're in right now. Yeah, the insurance thing is just awful. But I don't blame the insurance companies. I know. I'm one of those guys. I dig deeper into it. I look at it with like an unbiased lens. I know people are suffering, and I look at it and I go, well, the only reason that the insurance companies did not or charged more or did not cover those homes was because they realized all the risk. There's too much risk, so they're not going to allow you to have it. Or they're going to give you a very minimal one so they don't have to cover all of it. Kind of like you buy a new car for $30,000 and then it gets in a car accident and they give you like $6,000. Depends on the risk. All right, let's do some stock stuff, and then I got to get out of here. It's almost lunchtime for me. So let's get back to some stock stuff. Right now, still waiting for the test of 600. I'm very surprised we're just seeing straight to the call side still. Still seeing the dollar increase. HYG overall, still liking it. HGX, housing sector, still liking it. Some divergences popping up for potential pullbacks, but this looks like a ripping move. This is where you see dramatic upside, very hard to short. As far as risk, here, still risks too short. You were in a very bullish trend. That could have just went sideways and went up. This could have went sideways and went up. It happened to go down. If you're waiting for the news, you potentially had a good short in here. You see the this comes down. You actually see a retest here, which is great. Actually see a retest here, which is great. And then these little moments here, that's where you want to be. If I was a day trader, I'd be looking in there probably. Stay with us. I wish I could. I can't today. Like I said, my wife's going through plenty. I need to spend some time with her. She really likes our Fridays, guys. I wish I could. I genuinely do. But priorities are a big thing. The risk to reward, right? If I don't spend time with my wife, the risk is she's going to be very sad. The reward is, hey, maybe I see another trade set up. Maybe I get in on this Apple thing going on soon. What am I going to choose? The reward of money or the risk of making my wife sad? What do you guys think? What would you guys vote? What would you guys vote? Money or your wife? I'm going to take wife every single time. Money comes and goes. Dream Dev, money. Yeah, give it another 16 years and answer it again, okay? Inspiration likes money. Money would make the wife happy? Nah. We're very comfortable. Dream Dev, it seems that way when you're young. It seems like money's the most important thing. I'll tell you one thing. Dream Dev, I love that you're here. You're 16. You got a decent attitude. I like it. Here's what I would say. My wife is not a materialist at all, is he? Which I'm very happy about. I'm very, very happy about. But I would say this to Dream Dev. What was the freaking point? Freaking ADHD. Click in. Give me 2 seconds. Let me think. Wait, those exist? Exactly, Raven. You know what it took? It took me not going for the crazies anymore. I used to attract all the crazies. Like friggin' almost burn your stuff on the lawn crazies. I just stopped doing that. Give her time. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Oh yeah, this is my advice to Dream Dev if you're young out there. And if you're older. I mean, if you start doing this, it might unlock you a little bit. Don't be doing things for money. Right? When you're young, you can do a lot of things for money. You know what I mean? You can do mowing and things like that. You try to make as much money as you can when you're young. And you try to save it probably, but you know, when I was young, I wasn't saving a lot of it, unfortunately. But what I'd overall say is if you can find something that you just like doing and it happens to make you a good amount of money, that's something that you should probably focus on. That's what I would say. As far as this goes, though, we need to pay attention to 600. I was trying to stay on in case we would get to 600. Love your stream. Thanks, Dream Dev. Hey, come back anytime. Come back anytime, buddy. All right. But 600, very important level. This is a very good move to the end of the day. Profit taking can take place. Does it really ruin everything that we've accomplished? Well, we've accomplished something pretty damn good today. That's this. That's this. This is great. This is great. Does it mean that it absolutely can't go wrong and this can't turn down next week? No, we know the risk. We know the risk. I think you're right, 596. I actually kind of like that. 596 to 595, that top side weekly expected move right in here. That'd be nice. But I would just say this is a great thing. And if this remains by the end of the day, what's bad about it besides, hey, this could get a pullback at this moment? If you see some kind of rip down kind of move, you probably couldn't have seen that coming at this point. And if we see some kind of rip down move, we might be at a weekly expected move early on in the week, right? So we're just looking at this. We like it. We were open to this closing outside of the range on Friday. We talked about that throughout the week a few times. It's great. We want to see it. Am I going to short this now? Well, the daily just crossed up. Probably not. Let's look at the Qs. Notice those haven't crossed yet. RSI looking pretty damn good down there. One thing that I'd be paying attention to is maybe I can click over here. Well, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good, right? That makes the bar look a lot better, doesn't it? All right. Put myself in a good mental headspace here. Right there. People could convince you, hey, this is indecision. That is a positive 1.76 bar, just so you're aware. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have risk. You're running your head into this, okay? So you got to be paying attention to that. This can always drop down. That's okay. And then you see if that can confirm up next week. So we'll see what happens. For the most part, though, it seems like we're getting some good bullish sentiment across the board here. We're seeing Bitcoin do some good stuff. We want to pay attention to that. We're seeing volatility drop down on the daily chart. I notice I'm on my volatility thing here. Volatility drop down. We're looking for that to close below the 200. We're aware of the reversal signal for volatility. So now we're aware of everything. That's starting to turn up right as we get to 6. Oh, and then it kind of fails. Damn it. I thought we were going to see that boom while I was talking about it. That'd be cool. So we're aware of the risk. The risk is this. The risk is 600 is going to be some kind of call wall. And now we just sit and we hang out. We see if things remain good and see if we have to manage our risk or see if we have to manage a trade or we see if we can hold on to these things. So thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate you guys being here. Thanks to the young guys that came in today. I think that's great. I hope you guys can take in a lot of what you're doing and just know that if you're young, you have time, which means one thing. You could sit, not risk any money, learn for a full year, and probably be geared up to actually make money after a year of just hanging out. Isn't that crazy? How many people in the chat would love to have a year where they don't have to work, they don't have to pay bills, and they could just sit and learn about how to trade stocks with technical analysis for a full year before they even get started? And maybe you work a little side gig and you earn money over time to save up $10,000 by next year. Who would give something for that? How valuable would that be to you? You're in a good spot, young guns. You're in a good spot, young guns. I wish someone told me this stuff when I was younger, because that'd be awesome. Then I might have actually bought Bitcoin, right? So now I'm looking at, need Bitcoin to make a good dip, huh? So thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have a great weekend. You know, make sure not to be looking at charts too much at the end of the day. We like to say this on Fridays. What's the most important thing? Friends, family, people, all right? And yourself. You're important too. If you're not around, there's no trading that can take place. There's no hanging out with me that can take place, and I want to see you back here. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you treat yourself. If you can't hang out with someone, if you can, don't say no. Why don't you go have some fun? Make sure to stay safe. Make sure to not be driving and doing anything crazy or anything like that, but make sure to have some fun this weekend, all right? Spend time with family. I'm going to go do the same right now. So have a great day. Peace out, guys.